And Quasar, and welcome back to another unofficial H3 waiting room. I was trying to set some stuff up because this interview between, I guess not an interview, this conversation between Cruel World Happy Mind and Chris Kunzler is long and just kind of bad. I was trying to take some notes on it and just going to show clips, but I think we just need to watch it all the way through. I'm going to showcase the things that I've have pointed out thus far, but I think I was only like 20 to 30 minutes in. And I feel like we really just have to see it in its entirety to really get a taste of everything. Sorry, just making sure I posted on the right Discords. Boom, boom, boom. Give it a second, let some people come in. How's everybody doing today? Welcome in the few people that are already in here. Wow. But yeah, we're going to just be looking at this hopefully from start to finish. We'll see how long it actually takes. I think it's like a 3-hour conversation. We're going to be watching it at 2x speed, obviously. There's no way I'm sitting through this for 3 hours, but we're going to see if we can get through the whole thing, because there's going to be a lot of pausing, a lot of interjections I feel I'm probably going to make. But yes. What's good, Alex? Welcome in. Starting a little earlier than usual, I know. That's why I'm kind of giving it a second. Let me see. I have a because it starts from my estimation at 46 minutes. That's like where like the conversation actually begins, and then I only got to an hour and 4 minutes, so I got about almost 20 minutes in. I made it almost 20 minutes through the conversation. But it is what it is. I guess we'll just get started. Let me pull up this too, see if they have anything. H3 podcast. Oh, here, I'll look at those real quick. 2 Reddit posts, why not? Let's give it a look-see. Oh, I did see this. I hadn't liked it, but I did see it. Was curious about Snark's view on Trisha, and the double standard is wild. And this came from a year ago, so I guess take it like with a grain of salt, I suppose. But from watching her for a long time, I feel that, parasocial speculation on my part, any opinion from her that would be harmful in the Gaza war is from lack of thorough education about the war and not malice. And I remember a tweet following October 7th that said she didn't know what to say, and she was so sad for the civilians being harmed. Not verbatim. Her husband is Israeli, and from what I've seen, he supports Palestine. I think he avoided the IDF by coming to the USA to go to school for architecture. I think. Please don't quote me on that, because I saw that in passing, so that's just not true. I mean, Ethan and Eli are saying it pretty openly that he was a helicopter pilot of some kind, or on a helicopter of some kind. And I think if they're going to say that, that risks defamation, right? They really think Ela just loved the IDF so much that she went. That's so fucking crazy. That's actually insane. And I hope they've been having really productive and insightful talks together about what happened. Something I like about Trisha is that she doesn't pretend to be an expert on anything or know something technical that she doesn't. And I'd rather her keep to herself and privately support Palestine than speak publicly and not perfectly about a complicated issue and have details misunderstood, or people treat the war like it's tea and ranking who has the best online influencers' takes and statements about it. Other influencers will make a whole political show and act like knowledgeable political pundits on the other hand. It is just so... They just want to give her a pass. Anything for the pass, I suppose. And then I wanted to look over this more myself. I did see this too, but I didn't actually look through it yet. Ethan's lawyer gives a brutal reality check to the H3 Snark mods and their lawyer that they can't just do and say whatever the fuck they want in legal filings. And then I'll just read the headlining bits. Improper reply evidence, improper legal arguments, legal conclusion, argumentative testimony, hearsay, improper expert testimony, lack of personal knowledge, incomplete statements, improper summary evidence, irrelevance, mischaracterization of cited evidence, improper arguments in reply. Oh, Guante to you as well. Guante to all in chat. Welcome in. But yeah, I mean, I remember looking through looking briefly over what was submitted by the Snark lawyer, and it did just seem like a whole lot of nothing and a lot of argument, like arguing the facts of the matter when it's like, it's kind of difficult to do. You can't really just argue whatever you want. It's got to kind of come from facts. But I guess we'll see what facts Cruel World, Happy Mind, and Chris Kunzler have to bring to this conversation. Like I said, I have a few points clipped out to start, but then we're probably just going to watch it all the way through. This first part is her fear of H3 fans.
Supportive. I guess
no H3 fans yet.
No, I think that all comes later, of clips of people being like, this thing was said, and oh my god, can you believe that this is a thing? And trying to claim that, you know, you're sort of an evil monster and that I've, you know, helped you to be an evil monster. But
okay, so you're prepared. That's good to know.
I don't personally, like, I understand it's different for you. I mean, we'll talk about this, but I guess probably in terms of the videos you've made, I'm guessing you haven't had, like, previously too much pushback like this, at least?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I'm sure you're very used to with the content that you make, where I'm sure you could probably give me a lot of advice in this instance. This is very different for me. I started making content because I actually have really crippling social anxiety. So making content where I'm basically talking to a wall and I can prepare what I'm saying a little bit better, edit it down, that helped me a lot, actually, with my social anxiety, and to learn that people aren't as bad as you would think. So this situation has been interesting in that manner, because it was actually really helpful initially, which is actually one thing I've realized a lot when I'm talking on live streams. I say, a lot. I guess I'll have a counter. But talking to a camera, editing videos down, and interacting with an online community helped me really break out of my social anxiety, especially during the pandemic when I was very isolated. And it helped me kind of open myself up a little bit more. And then this whole situation was very interesting for my social anxiety in that aspect. It kind of forced me to break out in this live streaming environment, have to speak in manners that I'm not as used to, in to audiences that I'm not as used to, and be confronted with people that are not as nice as I'm used to.
She almost didn't answer the question that he asked either. Because he was kind of asking about, like, how this is impacting her a bit, and she kind of just said, well, I mean, like, I've tried to come out of my bubble a little bit. I mean, that's good too, like, good for you, but he wants to know about the hate you're getting.
But in that, and as many people picked up, I have people-pleasing tendencies. I have a lot of issues that I've been working out in therapy for years. And so all of that has kind of coalesced in this situation. I think the only comparable incidents has been the Illuminati drama, which some people might be privy to, but which was my first...
I'm not, no, I don't know.
...sort of online drama, and it was very weird to navigate, but definitely not even close to this situation in terms of the amount of online harassment and messages, and just sort of, I'm used to really genuinely listening to the comments that I get and taking that in, the criticism, the feedback, and listening to it, because
this makes it sound like she's just saying that it's not worth listening to. The criticisms that are being made now are just unworthy of her attention.
I do think a lot of content creators will get criticism, and they'll sort of deflect, or they'll get very defensive, and
No, really?
I really never wanted to be that person when it came to making content. I always wanted to be very receptive to feedback, and this has thrown me for...
You're willing to listen, but you're not receptive to the feedback. That's the whole thing. You'll sit there and go, no, yeah, exactly, and then completely contradict what you just said exactly to. Like, I do agree that you have some people-pleasing tendencies that definitely feed into that, but I would also say that you are non-receptive to criticism. And yeah, I'm sure that there are people that are giving you, like, certain unworthy criticisms, like making fun of your appearance or your family or whatever, you know, like all that stuff is, like, unjustifiable. It's not it's not a good thing to do, and it's not even worth your time to sit. Like, if you're doing it, if you're setting aside time to write hate comments in that manner, you're wasting your own time and you look like a loser. But there were legitimate criticisms levied against you, and you minimize it to, well, you're calling me a Nazi. Why? For what reason? You're just jumping onto the bandwagon of, well, they're just doing it because they're Jewish and they're just saying everything against them is Nazis. That's not the criticism that's being made. Yeah, she covered the stained chair.
For a loop in that sense, because I do think that they're getting
Maybe she's playing 5D chess and owning all of us. You know, internet tough guy? I hadn't thought about that yet. That's a good point.
to a point where you really do have to realize that people are operating in bad faith, or
Yes.
that there's certain things that you shouldn't listen to, or you shouldn't take in a very genuine way, because they're not operating genuinely.
No.
So that's been a new thing for me.
I mean, I think I still remember like the first time that I got like major pushback for something that I'd done, and it was different, and it was major pushback. Like there were a couple of times, especially when I'd first started making content. Like there was one time where I made a video about this barge that they were putting refugees on in the UK, and it was like horrible. Someone died there as a result of like how unsanitary and like unacceptable the conditions were. And I remember I had like 300 likes, and I had 200 comments from real accounts that were just like, they deserve worse, they deserve to die. And I was just like, I really struggled, and it was pushback that I'm like, these people are crazy. Like these are crazy things. But hearing that kind of stuff is still difficult. And even yesterday, I did a live where I'd sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, like I've said, there's always going to be people that are just like way out of left field that you could never predict the type of perspectives that certain people hold. Like there are truly racist, bigoted, evil people in the world that like minimize other people's suffering because they think that it is in some way beneficial to them. I mean, that's just kind of, I feel like you learn that very early on as like a young adult.
Do these kind of debate things.
Yeah, she covered the stain on her couch. She gotta.
One of the people was, eventually he was trafficking some very anti-Semitic things. And unfortunately, that, of course, like because of the way TikTok Live operates, all of a sudden there were a lot of people enjoying that who were not my regular viewers, but were like people spamming in the chat like, oh.
Okay, so let me just get this straight. When it's just like there's certain disconnects here, right? People want to talk about, oh, the H3 audience, oh, this and that. It's always the H3 audience. But your audience was saying anti-Semitic shit, the people in your chat, but then you want to say, well, it's not my regular viewers, because my regular viewers would never say anything like that. Yes, there's always going to be these fringe outliers in your community that think these horrid things and are clinging to you for a singular perspective that they agree with. And yeah, I mean, but to say like, if you got people saying anti-Semitic shit in your chat, yeah, just I remove them, I suppose.
Oh, we love this, and just having to sit there and block them, and like it just feels a bit, I don't know, it just feels
big up Chris Kunzler. Block them in your chat if they're saying anti-Semitic shit. Real.
difficult, and pushing, like, I don't know, like pushback like that, where it's like and people saying things about you that aren't true, like, oh, you support Israel because you don't want to engage in like anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, is crazy.
No, it's almost as if that is literally the perspective that Ethan has as a Jewish person, is that for some reason he gets lumped in with this support of Israel because he's Jewish, and you're saying that you get the same thing because you're not willing to go with these anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. I don't know too much about Chris Kunzler. I don't know if he's anybody that's ever said anything about imagining anti-Semitism, hallucinating and stuff. I don't know if he's ever said anything like that. But it's like, are you not seeing where the issue is drawn from, at the very least? Dobby like sexy Snape. Dobby like sexy Snape.
Go watch Turkish iDubbbz stream.
To me, because normally when I deal with someone like that, it's not like a chat full of morons, it's like one person who says something. But I guess, like, as well, it's not that you haven't made videos about controversial people, right, as well, because you've spoken about people like Myron Gaines and like all of these people, who are really controversial, horrible figures, right?
Yeah, I mean, that one was very interesting because I thought it would be very funny to wear a shirt in that video that said ban male podcasts. This recent incident definitely has me feeling that way as well. Yeah, and people were very angry at that sort of snarky t-shirt, and so I definitely got a flood of hate comments, but it wasn't something that I took seriously because it was, again, they were just like, they were bad. They weren't they weren't attacking my character. They weren't digging into any little clip they could take out of context to call me a pedophile because I have stuff. animals in my background, or
You were the one that was making the insinuation of others being pedophiles based on like these odd claims that you yourself went, yeah, I don't know why that was included. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know. You were the one who started these, and then other people then decided to levy that level of criticism back at you, because it is quite literally, as Alex the Fiction would say, for me but not for the.
I go after my research, which is something that I spend weeks on and take very seriously. And again, do want to really engage in a serious manner. Okay, how can I do better research? How can I, if someone has any criticism of that, I do want to take it seriously. So I do think this threw me for a loop in that sense. Because again, if there's Myron Gaines fans and they want to say they didn't like my video because I'm a dumb bitch, it's like, okay, I'm not going to take that as seriously. Yeah, I think that, but again, your work, it sounds a lot different because I feel like you're in this sort of, I mean, not sort of, you're in a very intellectual field. And I think that people that try and
The intellectual political YouTube sphere. Quite the we are the modern day philosophers. Comedians and internet pundits are like the modern day philosophers. Fuck actual modern philosophers.
engage with it in an intellectual manner kind of falls short, maybe. And that can kind of cause a lot of insecurity in different people, a lot of anger, a lot of, and
Yes.
I've noticed when that happens and people
As Alex would say, I hate Olivia, she's too woke. As Alex the Fiction would say. That's a quote from Alex the Fiction. Go check it out. At Alex the Fiction.
get defensive, it causes them to sort of reflect that onto you. And I don't want to say that happened with this situation. Again, I'm not saying that because I think I handled a lot of things terribly, which is what a lot of this conversation, I want that.
I'm sorry, I need to go back for a second. I do think it's funny that AB, he is a bay, but AB knew of the meme that Alex thinks Olivia's too woke. I think that's really funny. Alex the crackhead, damn internet tough guy, chill.
Offensive, it causes them to sort of reflect that onto you. And I don't want to say that happened with this situation. Again, I'm not saying that because I think I handled a lot of things terribly, which is what a lot of this conversation, I want that to be so that people can learn from me. But
You don't just get to say, I think I did do some things wrong. Elaborate. Talk about in what ways you're going to try and improve later. Because if you're just falling back on, I can do better research next time, that's not an argument. By which means do you plan of doing better research? You talking about doing crack last night? Real stuff. Please use the soundboard to make it more watchable. Just keep hitting her with the every time she talks. To be fair, Ethan always says he's done crack. It's technically the same thing, but he's technically only freebased cocaine. In the story, he explains they were freebasing cocaine, which is crack, but it's not like they bought it as crack. They were just trying to smoke some coke, you know? This is what happens when you bring up crack. We're going to start having a conversation about it.
I think I handled a lot of things terribly, which is what a lot of this conversation, I want that to be so that people can learn from me. But I also think that maybe a lot of the backlash from the H3 fans was them not wanting to look inward at their sort of crumbling H3 empire and the fact that they are so isolated.
The crumbling empire. We're so isolated. The thing is the community is a bit isolated, but it's not because we're isolationist. Literally going on Reddit and then going to other communities and getting instantly permabanned because of being a part of the H3 community, being pushed out, being like separated, being like having people in search of people in support of the H3 community to hate. I've had people who hate watching my chat. They usually get banned pretty quick, but it's just like it goes both ways. This argument that you're just like, well, I've never seen it before. Oh, are you not online? Like, do you not use the internet like you're supposed to? Like, okay, I'm confused. Because, like, you're always going to get criticism. And it is about whether the criticism that's being levied is accurate or not. And what you're saying is it's all inaccurate for like no reason. You guys are keep reiterating the same point over and over again.
And not wanting to reflect on this sort of outward opinion. I don't know, like, again, a lot of people on the outside were like, oh, this video was very balanced. Again, when the H3 fan base is like, oh, you didn't do a lot of research, I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. But on the other side, when they talk about Ethan's blackface and they're like, well, they're sort of defending his blackface and saying, well,
you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're saying, I don't know, I don't do enough research. Yeah, I could have done more research, but he still did blackface. No, he didn't. He didn't. And let me let her continue, because this was a point that I saw.
Didn't look at our side of things and how he didn't really do that. I'm like, well, actually, since that video, there's been a lot more instances of their blackface that have...
Show one. Show a single one. Because I looked it up, I was like, what are they talking about? Because there's that blackface that Hila did where they were just doing fucking makeup and he did like a bad color match on her skin. Blackface Ethan Klein. The one image from doing the charcoal mask. The single image from doing the charcoal mask. I'm looking at it on another screen because I just don't care to even pull. It's just stupid. It's dumb. You want to see real blackface? You want to see real blackface? It's Shaquille O'Neal. Crazy. I'll never get over it. I'll never get over the fact that Harley did. And he did say that his black friends were like, oh, it's a fucking sick Shaq costume. Canadians, am I right? Yeah, point the blame on the H3 fans for the lack of research. But they're literally saying, you're wrong, he didn't do blackface. And you're going, well, there's other instances of blackface. Well, why did you only show this one instance then? And then please point me towards the direction of others. Because all I've seen is the Hila color matching issue and then the charcoal mask, which are still sold today if you want to go buy one. They found one more. It's a picture from Israel with Dead Sea mud on his whole body and face. Ethan Klein, Dead Sea. Come on. Because I know that's like a traditional thing, isn't it? To go to the Dead Sea to put mud all over you. I remember I watched An Idiot Abroad. You guys ever see An Idiot Abroad with Carl Pilkington? Why can't I remember the actual guy's name? Pilkington. Ricky Gervais's friend. But in An Idiot Abroad, he went to the Dead Sea at one point, and there was like a fucking Band-Aid floating in it. But isn't that part of going to the Dead Sea, is that you go to the Dead Sea because it's like, oh, you can float on it. There's so much salt content that you can float on it. And the mud is really good for your skin. Sea mud mask. Look at these racists doing the Dead Sea mud bath.
The Dead Sea.
Look at all these fucking racists. Look at them. Bunch of racists over here. Like, actually look into what the history of blackface actually was, maybe. They were healed. No need to Band-Aid. So true.
Have come to view, and I could have provided a lot more of that. Or same thing with me not doing enough research. I agree, I could have researched the entire Snark lawsuit and gone into how Ethan has continually harassed the Snark moderators, gone after them, tried to sue them, tried to get them to subpoena their information so that he could somehow link them to the people that he's doing a lawsuit for copyright infringement. Denim's, Caseytron, Frogan. I could have gone into that as well, how he refuses to let any of that go. I could have done a lot more research in that aspect.
Are you just yeah, you should have. You should have, because if you would have done more research, you would realize how ignorant those statements are. And the fact that you're saying I could have done more research is still implying that you haven't. Like, I'm sorry, like, it still implies that you haven't done the research on it, but now you're speaking more like flagrantly about these things that you know nothing about. He's harassing them. He's trying to get their information so he can so he can just post it out to the public? No, he's not. He's trying to get their information so he can sue them. Yeah, why should he just let it go?
And so I think that I agree with them on the other side of things. And a lot of times when they say things like, "Oh, he's apologized for his slurs," where are those apologies? I'd like to see clips of those. I would like to see those.
Alex the Fiction, this goes out to you. This is the next job that you have. You must make Ethan Klein apology compilation. All of Ethan Klein's apologies. The Cutie Cinderella. Here's how you format it. You go the Cutie Cinderella incident, and then you show the instances of him doing or saying something bad, and then you show him apologizing for it. It's just like countless instances. You could also do, I saw someone suggested, Ethan Klein denounces Israel compilation, where all the times he denounces Bibi Netanyahu and all the times he says that what's happening in the West Bank is bad, and he says that West Bank settlers are valid military targets, and he says that what's happening in Gaza is just disgusting and demonstrable and calls it a genocide. It's just like, yeah, sorry that we haven't put together the list. Sorry we haven't put together the video for you so you don't have to actually do any fucking research. It's your job, right? You're the fucking researcher. Do some research. Don't put the onus on us that we haven't presented it to you on a platter for you to make your video.
Extensive clips, because just saying a comment of, "Oh, he's apologized," where are they? I haven't seen it. I haven't seen an extensive clip.
And
a lot of those are hidden. Sorry, I was gonna say a lot of those are hidden behind membership platforms. So
that doesn't make any sense. So he's talking shit in public. He's talking shit in public that's getting so much hate, getting so much backlash, but then he decides to apologize behind a paywall? That makes no sense. Oh, Fupa Troopa does have the hour compilation of him denouncing Israel. I completely forgot about that. You're so right. Fupa Troopa. I'm sorry, Fupa Troopa. Let me give you a shout out. My Fupa Troopa. Go check out Fupa Troopa. Some great stuff on here. Do. Oh. Ethan Klein supporting Palestine for 1 hour. 1 hour straight. Let's just click to a random point here.
There's a pro-Israel protest in New York. I mean, just listen to what this guy has to say.
To my dick! What do you think the response should be from Netanyahu and the military to Gaza? Kill all Palestinians! All of them! Now,
so, like, that's crazy, obviously. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's barbaric.
To just say that on camera.
Yeah.
I mean, why would he feel...
There is a level of comfort in saying that, more so than saying...
kill all Israelis,
yeah,
kill all Jews? Yeah, of course.
There's definitely way more acceptable
no
thing to say
hesitation there, right
somehow.
into the camera.
Yeah.
Full mask.
Netanyahu's going to be remembered like the man. He wanted this legacy.
No, so right there, I mean, that's like a perfect example, because not only is he saying that it's a terrible thing that guy said, that it's an evil thing to say, but he's also acknowledging that that's somehow more acceptable than if he were to say it to Israelis. It's him literally acknowledging that double standard as well, that for some reason in the West, they do look down upon Palestinians. It's just like, every instance is so clearly, so easily put, I feel like. Yeah, with Hassan right there beside him.
So if you, that's where I think the echo chamber happens, where everything's hidden behind a paywall. And if he wants to, have something that's accessible for people for research, it should be available for all. Instead, he's creating more of an echo chamber where he thinks that his audience thinks one narrative because it's all hidden behind a paywall and not accessible to all. So, yeah, anyway, sorry.
Also, I think it's kind of like the Elon Musk Nazi salute. If you asked Ethan today, go on then, put fake tan on in that way as a joke. Do it now. Make a video called The Black Challenge where you cover your face in charcoal. Do it now. See how people interpret it. Do it. If you think that was like, that was not the joke of it. And also I think it's like just watching him say like, no, these actually, like, this wasn't it. We did the white challenge as well. We did all of these other things. What there is to say is at that same time, you were also regularly saying the N-word. And I believe there are points at which he's like, oh, I shouldn't have said that and I shouldn't have done that. But like, there's also this dissonance of like, maybe someone might actually point to this and be like, hey, it was kind of weird that you were doing all those things years ago. And now you're still like, oh, well, it's not that. It isn't that, even though you have admitted, that you said these words quite regularly.
No, he admitted to saying the N-word and has apologized for it because the context in which he used the N-word was, like, he thought that there was a context where it was fine. And also, I think that people don't talk about it enough is Ethan's usage of the soft A as opposed to the hard R. Because I'd say that's probably more, more like more inherently just wrong than trying to figure out a context in which the discussion of the N-word has it applied. Because like I've always said, I think that in the situation of like not reading To Kill a Mockingbird, but in an instance of an actual courtroom setting, I think that it would make sense for a lawyer to explain this person said and then quote them directly rather than saying they called them the N-word, they said, and then use an expletive or something like that to fill in the blank. I think that it actually holds like a harsher tone when you actually use the statements that were made, and will carry that out more thoroughly. But I don't think that gives the right to any just individual to just do it because it's like, well, I'm just talking about what somebody else said. That is a poor usage. And then also, Ethan, I just think about it like this, like he was using it and he used it a few times, the soft A. But the instances in like when he used it with Filthy Frank, it's like they were using it around black people. Like it wasn't like they were using it like behind, like hiding, and they wouldn't say, like they had black friends and stuff. Like thinking about Filthy Frank specifically, like he had like different actors that would come into like and do stuff with him, and I would say probably like I'd say they were all minorities, but I'd say half of them were black probably. Like thinking about it, and it was just a different time, genuinely. Like, you know how many of my black friends used the hard R in the past? It's crazy. But yeah, but also conflating the usage of the N-word, which he's apologized to the blackface, which we're pointing out is not blackface. It doesn't hold up. Because he doesn't need to apologize for something that isn't true. And if you want to talk about his usage of the N-word, that is something he's already apologized for. Sorry I can't pull up the individual clip for you, Cruel World, Empty Mind, but like we'll do our best to figure out if we can find those clips.
And that and of course on YouTube at that time it was more acceptable to be doing them, but also you're a 40-year-old 40-year-old.
It's a shame the internet accepted that behavior back then, but that's just how it was. I'm not even talking about just on the internet. I'm saying like in person. That was just like that's how it was back then. That was the past. The early 2000s were a weird time. The early to mid 2000s, I guess.
You're a 40-year-old, so you were 30 then. And I think everyone has the excuse of fucking up when they're in their early teens, late teens, even early 20s, you know, maybe not early 20s as much, actually, I'd say. I think it's really a time for growing and changing at that point because you probably experienced something more than just the school.
Yeah, talking about Ethan specifically, yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't expect anything less from somebody who was popular at that time. Like I said, like everybody, it is just like, it is unacceptable, right? But we look at things with context. We look at like the context surrounding the things that happened. And that's why it's like, personally, and I'm not black, so I can't, speak on this too heavily, but Ethan using the N-word was wrong, but the way people like talk about it is as if he was calling people the hard R, like out of aggression for like the purpose of diminishing black people, which has quite literally never been the case. And I think that context does matter. Because if we're going to talk about that, well, saying cracker's fine because it's not that bad. Like if we're going to talk about like what's okay of saying, what's not okay, like we're going to have a conversation about it. I got my essay submitted on time and found a much better topic to write about. Shout out you.
And high school and whatever that you went to, and you've probably been out into the world. But I think that like the like ultimate thing as well is like how has the actual experience been of, I don't know, like the kind of harassment and like what has that been for you if you're happy to talk about it?
Mm-hmm. It really depends on the day to day, I think, and how much I'm willing to shut it out or engage with it. I think when everything first happened, it was a new experience for me, as I kind of mentioned, and I was really surprised. I was kind of talking about this with my editor who, I've been working with for forever. And one of the most upsetting aspects is and also most hilarious is they tried to claim that my team is like a team of snarkers. And, I didn't have...
Yeah, to put it in perspective, gay marriage wasn't even legal until 2015. Early to mid 2000s were a truly different time. I mean, just think about like, I mean, just everything, segregation. Like it wasn't that long ago. All that stuff wasn't that long ago, and it's just ingrained into the culture. Um, to think that certain things, like Ethan's saying, is um, specifically after 9/11, like it was fine to just look down on any like person from the Middle East, and that was just like an acceptable thing to do, and that is actually crazy and insanely bigoted. And that's why I think that it's good to like call out not just racism but xenophobia and any type of bigotry, because it comes in many forms, but it's always like the same like impetus in like a sense.
Having involvement there, the Snarkers, which is hilarious to me because they're two dudes, one in the UK, one in Australia.
How would that mean that they're not snarkers or have not been swayed by snarker opinions just because they're two dudes?
Who I have been working with for almost 5 years at this point, and almost 5 years, right, 4.5. But anyways, so my editor, I was kind of talking about this, and when all of this happened, I was just kind of surprised, and yeah, just wanting to understand, because I was so I really thought most people would understand. I was really surprised by the fact that there would be any sort of confusion on Palestine, or any sort of divide. I thought most people were kind of in agreement that what Israel was doing is fucked up. And I guess the flood of comments that were saying that what I had said was anti-Semitic, that that just completely disagreed with my stance. I was very confused on that, and just from a sort of morbid curiosity was.
That's because you have the most basic like just literally basic opinion. You don't have an actual stance. What are you talking
comments
about?
That were saying that what I had said was anti-Semitic, that that just completely disagreed with my stance. I was very confused on
have
that,
a stance.
and just from a sort of morbid curiosity was reading comments and messages, wanting to understand that what their viewpoint was and how they had gotten to such a divide. And then also just in my personal life, I think I mentioned this to you. I had a neighbor who I respect greatly, who's a journalist, a writer, who after everything had come over and sort of lectured me about how, that's maybe harsh. Again, I feel bad because
No, you deserve to be lectured. And if this is like a person who does actual like journalism, that's a good person to give you a lecture. But let's hear how you took that lecture.
From this, she identifies as a feminist, has invited me to a lot of book clubs, and
She identifies as a feminist. Is she not one because of this conversation, or what?
just but just about how she had taken a trip to the Middle East and felt that everywhere else the Middle East was incredibly racist to her, and Israel was a great country to her. Again, white blonde woman, not a Jewish individual, but had felt that Israel was so great, and essentially that I was terrible for my viewpoints that I had spoken of in my video, essentially, just to boil it down. And so I was just very bewildered by that and wanted to understand that aspect,
And literally, yeah, it's just no comprehension of nuance, because I doubt that she was just coming over and being like, you don't understand, the Middle East is racist, Israel's good, you're so bad. But it seems like she didn't actually take in any of what the person was telling her, because I imagine it had something more to do with like the nuance of the region and thinking about like the actual powers that be in the in the time and place that we're talking about. So and again, that doesn't make Israel good. That doesn't make them like an amazing. And again, we're talking about we're talking about governments here. Like that's always what we're talking about. And like, but there is like that other aspect too, where government policy does lend to cultural cohesion in a sense.
Yeah, of course there was the harassment.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't judge an entire country on its government, like this country. No, exactly. You can't judge an entire country by its government, but you can acknowledge the nuance of the like governmental policies impact on the cultural landscape, like stuff like that. And that's all like very complex and like something that probably couldn't even get like explained to you in one conversation. And so that's just like, I don't know, it's very, very lacking.
Of course there was the hate, the people saying that I did terrible research, and the people that were all.
In my opinion, I don't feel comfortable with Cruel World Happy Mind specifically identifying a true feminist or not, especially with her constant offhanded comments tearing down women she doesn't agree with. Yeah, it's just I mean, I said it once and I'll say it again. I'll say it a million times. She is vapid. Just all of her points are vapid. Everything she says is completely just lacking any nuance, any type of critical thought. It's all just very surface level, and I don't think there's much else to say other than that. I'm waiting until they get into actually discussing something. I mean, honestly, it's like they're not even discussing anything at this point.
Also just calling me a Nazi, photoshopping Auschwitz in the background of...
You didn't even say it right. Auschwitz. You can't even fucking say it right, so good job. They're like, what do you... Again, that's bad. People shouldn't be making these edits of you being a Nazi, but at the end of the day, it's based on a criticism that's been levied against you that you are unwilling to contend with. You don't concede and you don't, like, effectively contend with it, so it's kind of just, like, up in the air at this point.
Photos of me, things of that nature, but I think that was the strangest aspect to me to sort of understand, because at this point, with how much things have escalated, with
government policy is usually directed by the people in democracies. It kind of depends, because it's like a chicken and the egg kind of thing, right? Like in the formation of the countries, they form with a certain, like America, you know what I mean? America formed, and like with, like, people love to bring up like the original Constitution and like the right, like the on the right, they love to bring up like the OG Constitution, and it's like the OG Constitution had a ton of amendments made to it because it's almost as if that wasn't the proper way that we should have been living. And so yeah, dense, shallow, dumb. But yeah, in general I would say that's true, yeah, usually, so that's fair. But again, like, there is issues with like because I was genuinely thinking about this, right? Because I levied the criticism against him yesterday, and both of them, and I'm waiting for them to maybe offer some kind of like a analysis of Israel's like government and how they feel that we can reach a one state or two state solution, like what their idea is. But then I thought I should probably outline what I think would be like some kind of steps towards like an end to the conflict. And so I wrote down a few things that I think are probably, in my best estimate, a decent thing. I wrote it on a notepad. But I wrote a two-state solution with a full reconstitution for both Israel and Palestine, removing the current government structures formed through the Knesset and Hamas, with oversight by the UN and or other international parties like a rotating multinational authority, until new secular and democratic states are established. So that is to completely reform the governments and, reinstitute something new. And then the removal of the Israeli government from Jerusalem and relocated into Israel proper, as Jerusalem is turned into an international city as per the original 1947 UN partition plan. Which I think is probably just because Jerusalem is quite literally like at the center of the conflict. And so making Jerusalem its own like city-state kind of makes sense, and was the original 1947, part of the original 1947 UN partition plan that Israel broke. So that is another fucking terrible thing that Israel did, which was just go against the original partition plan in many ways. But then I continued and said, retain the ethnic majority in Israel while creating counterbalances for minority populations, like minority veto structure as seen in Belgium. Something like along those lines, because I do think you can have like an ethnic majority within a country without necessarily having it be like ethno-nationalistic. Because that's like the true issue is like ultra-nationalism, and when that links to ethno-nationalistic views, stuff like that. And then at the end I wrote a rewriting, because this is just kind of like my third part, that I don't know if this is necessarily the best way to do it, but I think that this is also an issue that a lot of people have, and this is a possible thing of possibly rewriting of the law of return that implements a structure to codify those grandfathered in, but establish a new structure to focus more heavily on Jewish people in times of persecution, which would lay a heavier onus on Israel in its international relation to procure a future for the Jewish diaspora. So that's just like, here's the thing I wanted to write down. I wanted to make sure I had my own like concise viewpoint, and I think that it's probably kind of in line with like Israeli liberalism, toward like kind of like Balad style, in terms of it being like a turn towards secularism, because you don't need it to be a Jewish state while letting it be a Jewish ethnic majority. She had to ask how to pronounce Ilan Pape's name, the Nakba, all these things to prove that she hasn't done any actual research. She should know these things. She said 2 weeks ago she didn't know anything at all, so she's been watching clips, I guess, in the meantime. Madman, so true. What did Madman say? Chris always looks like someone shat in his cornflakes. He does look very upset. Graham just chewed her the F up with her response. Imagine being such an ass and making a sneaky comment on someone's looks. She is straight up mean girl. Jerusalem city-state where everyone could live in peace would be great. Hope it's possible one day soon, yeah. I think that that's probably like the first step, is figuring out a way to get like the Knesset and the Israeli government out of Jerusalem. That's like step one, and create Jerusalem as like its own city-state that acts as like a general commons for both Israel and Palestine. That would, because I believe in the two-state solution, so that would be my my view on like the implementation of that, is to create like a religious commons almost. Something like, I hate to think of it like the Vatican City, because the Vatican City is all obviously run by a specific religious entity, but I think that having it be a religious commons that isn't run by a single religious entity and run by like some I don't even, because that's like the hard part too, is the issue really does come down to like I said, is to come up with like some kind of international parties, rotating multinational authority, because the UN, like even using the UN, it's hard to figure out what would be a good authority to help in this transitional period, because so many people have so many like foots in, like they have their feet in the game, you know. So yeah. We are the world, we are the children. So true.
How many, like with the genocide that's happening, how many Palestinians have died? How could people still feel this way? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Feel what way? Because you're conflating a bunch of things. So notice how I just went on like a long tangent about like my views on the conflict and like what a resolution could possibly look like. And then like as I click back into it, we get more of like these vapid statements. I am waiting. I hope that they do kind of acknowledge some kind of plan of action that would be something. Because that's my biggest issue, I feel like, is that you hear a lot of the time like, well, Israel needs to lay down its arms and we need to open up the borders and create a one state. You can't do that overnight. Like even in terms of like, if that was the governmental policy you want to implement, that isn't an overnight change that can be made. So it's about figuring out the structures that need to be put in place to create that change. And I just don't see it that often. Like I see it very, like, maybe I just don't look into it enough, you know, but it also hasn't been explained to me. I had one comment being like, maybe you should do more research, read more books. And then they offered me a bunch of books and it's like, can't you articulate a single argument? Because like I said, I think mine kind of aligns with like the Balad, which is the like Palestinian nationalist, secular, left-wing like group in Israel. So like, I don't know. Oh no, Evie got banned by Alex the Fiction this time. Imagine if she came into this unbiased, like she claimed to in the beginning. If I was Cruel World Happy Mind, I would have stepped back after calling in. Went radio silent for at least a week or two. Why do these people think apologizing for their wrongdoings is betraying their beliefs? I especially don't get that when they don't have real beliefs. It seems like their beliefs are so nothing. She absolutely does. Kunzler is an academic. She is a homeschooled idiot that doesn't know anything and can barely string together a coherent sentence on Israel-Palestine. Yeah, I don't want to call her stupid, but she's definitely ignorant. I think ignorance. See, we what happens is people have a level of ignorance and they have a level of arrogance. At some point, those hit like they reach a singularity. They become one, and their ignorance and arrogance outweigh any other type of critical thinking or any other type of thought process they might try and implement. I will. I'll call her stupid. Thanks, bootleg potato.
And I went on the podcast to essentially try and see if I humanized myself, if I tried to show that I was trying to understand where my research went wrong, but also have a real conversation, like a real human being, to Ethan, if his audience would even be willing to take that in. And there were essentially a few days where there was a bit of a confusion within the audience. I got a few kind messages from H3 fans that were essentially like, welcome to the family, which isn't not a cult at all, but welcome to the family.
Just calling any fandom a family or calling any fandom a cult is just so stupid. Calling any femdom a cult is so stupid.
Go watch Turkish iDubbbz stream. But
like, there were people that liked purely, and the comments that she like points out in this, it almost seems as though they didn't hear the conversation fully, and they just liked that you were willing to go on there and speak your truth. I don't know.
I really liked hearing you speak. I really liked your story on this, or I like that you went on the podcast, had the bravery to do so. I liked.
Don't worry, Evie, we can hear you.
Hearing that you were willing to learn about this, or that you admitted that you were wrong on that, whatever it was. And then after a few days, it's almost like they were kind of put back in line. And essentially, I was a Nazi again. I'm anti-Semitic, and they don't like me because I didn't fully take down the video. The goalpost shifted, and they, essentially went on attack again. My husband calls them the flying monkeys, not me. I'm reporting what someone else has called.
Oh my god. It's your husband. Do you and your husband not speak for each other? This is like the same thing fucking Anissa and iDubbbz do. Are you guys not a couple? Are you not married? It's something somebody else said. I'm not saying it. My husband calls them the flying monkeys, and Ethan is the Wicked Witch of the West. Kind of banger. I'll be a flying monkey. Those little dudes were sick.
Call them because essentially they will whatever is iterated by Ethan, it feels like after a while they'll sort of disseminate that attack, and that's really sad to me. I think that there is a divide of opinions, but after a while they're all sort of put back in line within this echo chamber of the H3 subreddit, and that's really concerning to me. And I think that a lot of fears that they're having, a lot of is sort of being used against them. So,
well, I think that, like, on this topic of just sort of claiming that the entirety of the reason that people are upset with Ethan boils down specifically to an anti-Semitic hatred is a really dangerous idea, because you are perhaps convincing.
Okay, so what does the actual criticism come from then? Draw those conclusions. Show us what your criticisms actually are, because what you're saying is Ethan boiling his criticisms down to anti-Semitism is bad. Cool. Just stop there. You don't need to fucking articulate anything more than that. That statement on its own, that's done. Now explain what those like criticisms actually are. The statements that he made that deserve to be criticized that haven't already been like revised.
Well, no, you are. You're convincing people who don't know as much about Judaism, who don't know as much about Israel, that the reason that people are doing this to Ethan is because they're, anti-Semitic monsters. That everyone who has a problem with Ethan.
Well, I don't think all of them are anti-Semitic monsters. I think some of them are actually just ignorant. I think that their ignorance and arrogance, again, it reaches this level where they can't let it go. They love to hop on a bandwagon, be the good guys. Like she was saying, I was confused as to why anybody would disagree with me. She was confused by that people would have a different opinion on a conflict that's been going on for 70 years. She's confused by that. She's confused by an active genocide that's been going on that's been happening by a government that hasn't been stopped, that is in which the country that is doing the genocide is supported by America. She doesn't understand that there could have been an opposing opinion. It doesn't make any sense. She's clearly smart enough socially to follow the trend she was presented with. I feel like calling her dumb diminishes the damage she's doing. She knows she is in the wrong, a D1 rage baiter. She might just be a D1 rage baiter. Some are misled, lol. Some are just snarkers, so they are in for the long haul. So true. She was confused, but also didn't know anything. Yeah. Chris is the biggest soy boy. Don't click on his shorts tab and look at the thumbnails. He's literally that soy jack. I didn't want to say anything about it. We love a soy king.
Does not actually lie with his behavior, with his conduct, but actually because they're snarkers who just hate
What behavior? What conduct? Articulate it. Come on. Present it to me.
him and want to ruin him and his family's lives. But there's also, this very real element of he is one of the biggest content creators on YouTube in terms of having a podcast, because the amount he hosts it and all of these things.
Okay, yeah, that's true. True statement right there. That was facts. He is one of the biggest podcasts on YouTube.
And on multiple occasions, he himself has admitted that he has said things about Palestine which were unacceptable. And yet...
Okay, so he's corrected himself.
Even when he was talking to you, he was like, what you've got to understand is this is all anti-Semitism. This is all a
If you are levying criticism against him that for things that he has already retracted, statements that he has already corrected, then yes, one would assume that that is due to anti-Semitic, sentiment of some kind. Or an if we want to just get out of this. Here's the thing, I'm fine with going like this. We can get out of this anti-Semitic, this argument of, oh, it's not anti-Semitism. Cool, you're xenophobic against Israelis then. Plain and simple. Done deal. You dislike Israeli people. You don't think they should exist. That is xenophobia. Done. Cool. I hate this argument of it's not xenophobic. Because, and again, when we talk about the xenophobia argument, we can go down the line because they're not talking about the Druze. They're not talking about the Arabs. They're not talking about the Christians. They're not talking about the different populations that are the minority populations in Israel. They're talking about the majority population in Israel, which are the Jewish population. So it's of course, these things, you can call it a conflation, but there's just an overlap in terms of the criticism that's being made between Israelis or versus Jewish people. It's and again, the criticism shouldn't ever be towards the Israelis. It should be towards the Israeli government. Playing innocent on the pod, then acting like they were, this is friendly territory. She's definitely aware enough of her actions are condemnable to fawn on the podcast and try to bury her true involvement. Yeah, I wonder if he's even acknowledged Ethan's points or just continues his own talking points. Well, that's what I'm wondering. So what I just said, he hasn't articulated an actual argument yet. He said that Ethan has taken back his certain statements. True. That is true. Ethan has said things that were off color, and then he's corrected himself. Ethan is a failure and his career is over, but also he's one of the biggest, most influential people on the internet. It depends on the conversation. Well, it doesn't even depend on the conversation because they've said both of those things in this conversation. It depends on which argument you're trying to make in the moment, I guess.
Not campaign against me, rather than the fact that there has been a huge amount of people who have actually come out and said, I don't know how to feel about this, that this is not okay. And that a lot of these people do like Ethan and have liked him.
Okay, so you're talking about the things that he's retracted.
For a very long time, but all of a sudden have said, actually, we don't feel comfortable with this. And,
you think that they don't feel comfortable with the things that he's apologized for. Okay.
Some of it is to do with a shift on public perception of Palestine and public knowledge of the atrocities going on there. But also, it's ultimately having to actually confront what he believes on Palestine. The second that it became difficult to think about, actually, maybe Palestinian liberation comes above the feelings that I'm experiencing. He has found it...
When has Ethan said that the Palestinian liberation... Even in Ethan's content nuke against Hassan, he says that this Palestinian genocide should be at the front of our minds, but we have a lot of brain left. That's basically the sentiment that he makes, that we should keep the destruction of the Palestinian people in the front of our minds at all times. But remember that there's a lot of things that we can care about at once, including the then diminishing of other peoples when in the pursuit of uplifting another. It's both of those things can be happening at the same time. We can talk about all these things. Yeah, Ethan spoke out about Palestine before it was mainstream. No, literally. He's spoken out about against Netanyahu before people even knew where Israel was. I'm going to do more map gaming in a bit. Got to show off again. I relearned all of the states for America. I relearned all the American states, so now I know all of the countries except for the Caribbean islands. I know all the countries except for the Caribbean islands, all the states in all the states in the U.S., all the states in Mexico, all the cities, all the major cities in, at least on that game, all the major cities in Japan, and then the major cities in the UK. I'm learning more and more every day. I'm getting better at my maps and my location, my geolocating. I will become my own geolocator. God forbid someone grows and becomes educated by being held accountable and then apologizing. There's no winning here. They world build. They don't have one instance or one clip of Ethan to back it up, but Ethan has so many clips according to them. While also in the same breath, she was going, "Well, where are all the clips of Ethan apologizing? Where are all the apology clips?" The double standard is absolutely insane. If someone is uncomfortable and should seek clarity on what was said, not persecute that person forever. No, exactly. That's the other part, is it's just like turning on somebody because they've made an individual statement, even after their retraction, is showing some kind of underlying sentiment that you're holding towards them. And maybe you can't figure out what it is, but it seems obvious to the rest of us.
Nigh on impossible, or the criticism that I am experiencing. And I think, like, on this topic, of course, no one wants to be accused of being an anti-Semite, because obviously, in terms of extermination of human beings, we're taught and we're told that the anti-Semites have done some of the most abhorrent things in history. Like,
we're taught and we're told. Do you not think that that's true?
Human beings, we're taught and we're told that the anti-Semites have done some of the most abhorrent things in history. Like, many people view all extermination through just the lens of the Holocaust. They don't really know about other things. They don't really have any thoughts about. There was even, I can't remember who said this, but they said
it's because, oh my god, are you actually just this ignorant, or are you being just fucking... The reason the Holocaust is held above other genocide is because the ethnic and racial element of exterminating Jewish people as the intent. That's the reason that it's seen above other things. Whereas it wasn't like racially based or anything with gulags or with other, like, they exterminated more people, like they killed more people, like Mao Zedong killed more people, but it wasn't fueled by this ultra nationalistic, like it was fueled by other I guess with Mao Zedong and Soviet Russia, I guess that it is ultra nationalistic, but with a different pursuit of that goal.
it is interesting that we bear in mind. It might be Boaz Everon. I'll see if I can find it. 1 second.
I mean, on that note, when Hila was trying to talk to me about how she didn't fully say, she disavowed.
Quit messing with my hair. Am I messing with my hair too much? I like touching my head. Is it loud?
Rudy Giuliani's statements. I think it was Ethan that said that. But what I was trying to express was...
Yeah, it was also carried out across Europe, not just a single country. That's like another aspect to it, is the fact that it went, like, it reached into a bunch of different countries and expanded, and then all of that, like, retracted afterwards. No, Chris was LOL. All the plants are fake. It's possible. He might upkeep them. This one looks real. Although, maybe not.
Essentially, if you have the past that Hila has, you sort of need to, if you hear a statement like Rudy Giuliani's that, the Palestinians are taught at 2 years old to kill American citizens, you need to fully say, hey, that's fucked up and not true, and go with, with your full chest or full voice, disavow that statement. To just sit there and kind of...
You are literally not... Okay, if you want to make that argument, you're not the person to make that argument. If you want to go, you didn't do enough, you didn't say that's fucking disgusting, that's evil. You don't know anything about this conflict. You've admitted that you know absolutely nothing about the genocide. Like, it's just so ridiculous. What you're saying just is... The levels of hypocrisy and irony are off the charts.
Just silently say, I mean, and shake your head. First off, that is a comment. It is a comment.
Her past of being in the IDF, that's literally all it is. It's just so... the assumption that because there is mandatory conscription that all people then appreciate their time and loved being in the IDF and are going to continue doing it and love everything Israel does because they like it's just so stupid.
Comment. You know, it is a comment, but also it's.
Yeah, and they did go on to say it was crazy and evil and unhinged, but she only cares about the singular clip that she saw where Hila went. I mean, about something else.
It's not speaking out enough. It is not. Blatantly. If you have a past where you grew up in Israel and you are fully aware of what Israelis are taught from a young age about Palestinians, you have the knowledge. You actually have a great depth of knowledge, which you could use to speak out and educate people.
Wait, what?
Aware of what Israelis are taught from a young age about Palestinians, you have the knowledge. You actually.
Do you wait? What? What Israelis are taught from a young age about Palestinians? You have what Rudy Giuliani was talking about was what Palestinians are taught at a young age, which she wouldn't have intimate knowledge about, but you could obviously assume that they're not being taught it to be terrorists. But like again, and she's also just ignoring what was brought directly to her, which is the fact that AB was there, his wife was there, other people were there that would not just sit idly by and allow her to like debase the Palestinian people and their children. It is an unfounded claim that you are expecting like this weird, like yeah, it's just weird. You're weird. You're a weirdo.
Actually have a great depth of knowledge, which you could use to speak out and educate people about what is happening in a positive way, to teach people about the genocide that's happening and help with what's happening and the pro-Palestinian movement. Instead, she is silent when it matters most. She is, shaking her head, not disavowing with complete, sincerity and clarity. And instead, she gets defensive when others accuse her of being not a little bit, Zionistic. I don't know if that's
Zionistic.
It's a full phrase, but you know what I mean.
I'm not sure. I like being a bit of a Zionist would be the term I'd use, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that is how I feel.
She Zionistically was trying to come for me.
Well, I forgot I was going to say something else, but yeah. So yeah. As far as that goes, I deleted the clip of them saying that because it in my video, because if they're gonna, especially I think again, Hila did not fully, but I extended the will, I guess, in good grace. If they're gonna say, they disagree with Rudy Giuliani's statements, fair enough. I'll delete that. But that's my statement on that. You have an
Yeah, she's literally not silent. She is disavowing. It is just the most confusing thing ever because it's like you've said you haven't done enough research, but you want to keep claiming that you have in some way. You're like, I admit I could have done better research. I should do better research. I admit it. You're right. I'm wrong. I should have done more research. But like, they're a bunch of fucking Zionist monsters that like want to kill babies and think that Palestinian babies are terrorists. Like, I haven't done any research on the topic, but like, it's interesting, right? Like, what are you talking about?
an opportunity, with your past, Ethan as well, living in Israel, you have the education and experience of knowing what is being taught in Israel, what they're saying, what is done over there in ways that many Americans are not experiencing right now, which is very important knowledge, I think, for right now. And instead, you are silent and you do not speak out about that aspect. And I think that could be very important education.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this ultimately taps into the problem, which is if you actually look at what Hila specifically thinks about Palestine, it's not really very congruent. And I think that, also, I think appreciating the full significance of that statement is not even something I did when I previously talked about it, because
she believes in a two-state solution that is believing in an independent state for Palestine. She disagrees with the regime of Benjamin Netanyahu and the cabinet of his. That is the clearest thing. You can say that the rest of her things, we don't know exactly what she feels about these individual conflicts or these individual battles or these individual instances of attacks. Or what do you disagree with on those two things that she has stated many, many times? And again, can you give us instances in which she has said things that are the contrary, to the contrary, because all you're doing is saying she doesn't say enough, she doesn't do enough, she needs to be held to a higher standard and needs to speak out and be against Israel at every cost. At every moment, in every breath, every time she's on there. They can't be doing a fun segment when Hila's on there. They got to be talking about fucking Israel. She was in the IDF. Like, you are a fucking disgusting person for saying stuff like this. Like, it's horrible. It's terrible. It's terrible that that's the thing that you think.
You can see that actually pretty much everyone else there has a strong reaction to it. But that is the kind of rhetoric that leads to the killing of children.
Yeah, half of her criticism is pointing out random things that Ethan and Hila should do in her opinion. You know?
Gaza. That's not like some crazy thing. Like, Israeli soldiers say, well, all Palestinians are terrorists. And there are, maybe even if every government official in Israel doesn't believe that, there are a considerable amount of them who do. There is, Israel's finance minister said of Palestinian children that he didn't...
Okay, what?
Strong reaction to it. But that is the kind of rhetoric that leads to the killing of children in Gaza. That's not like some crazy thing. Like, Israeli soldiers say, well, all Palestinians are terrorists. And there are, maybe even if every government official...
Yes, that is something that some people say. I don't disagree that that happens. But you are admitting that that isn't everybody. Yeah, it's not everybody, but it's still, people still say it. Then why are you conflating it and assuming that that's the sentiment that she holds for no apparent reason?
In Israel doesn't believe that. There are a considerable amount of them who do. There is, Israel's finance minister said of Palestinian children that he didn't want his wife to give them a birth next to Arabs because they were birthing the next generation of his enemies, their enemies. And this is how the kind of rhetoric that leads to the killing of children becomes prominent, becomes
Yeah, and those statements should have that person removed and replaced and perhaps even arrested and tried for hate crimes. I agree with you on that. Now, what the fuck does that have to do with Ethan and Hila? Again,
it comes to fruition. How killing massive amounts of people is no longer just something that's unimaginable and makes most people balk and think, my God.
Who thinks that it's just never going to happen? What? Do you think that they just go? Literally, part of the reason that October 7th was so sad is because they understood that this would lead to a heavier conflict and the endless bombing of Palestinians. Like, that's literally what... like part of the sentiment, seeing the destruction of the Israeli people, what was happening, the posts that Hamas was making of them getting people getting slaughtered, and it's just like that was a part of it. But the other part of it was the fact that it was just another like cog in this greater machine of this like endless conflict that leads to the genocide that you're talking about. Because the conflict is the back and forth. The genocide is Israel's unreciprocal responses, because they're way overdoing it on all the things like, where they get like, yes, it's disgusting the things that Hamas have done, and it is even more disgusting the way that Israel responds. But we need to be able to acknowledge both things. And also, in acknowledging that, understand that in that a one-state solution does not seem plausible in the current landscape. So what do we do in the meantime? How do we figure out a pathway towards some kind of a better future?
God, how could you ever do that? Instead, all of a sudden, it is legitimate and it is justified because their children are taught to hate. And it is also the same logic which continually moves away from seeing Israel as the problem, which is ultimately the problem of kind of...
Wait.
My God, how could you ever do that? Instead, all of a sudden, it is legitimate and it is justified because their children are taught to hate. And it is also the same logic which continually moves away from seeing Israel as the problem, which is ultimately the problem of kind of both of them, that they draw...
It's just like you are pointing out that them thinking that is horrible. But it's... And I know you did point out that it's not everybody, but the way that you're like expressing it as though that is the general sentiment of Israeli people. And that is why it is justifiable to like levy these criticisms against other Israelis. Like that is kind of the way that this is being presented.
Or an equivalency between Palestinians and Israelis. Israel is the one that is a nuclear-armed superpower. Israel is the one who refuses to remove settlements from the West Bank that are illegal under international law. Israel are the colonizers who got 78% of their of Palestinians' historic homeland in the Oslo Accords in 1993, and that wasn't enough. They still had to continue expanding settlements. They didn't instantaneously take decisions that no further Israeli government could have ever reversed by just saying there will be no more settlements, because that's not what they wanted, because that's not what it's about. They portray Palestinians as much of the problem. People whose hatred of Israel derives...
So I want to just bring up again the point that I made. I don't think anything that he's saying goes against my perspective on a two-state solution. And that's why I just find it so fucking dumb that he's just like, because like that's like also part of the sentiment is like, if you believe in a two-state solution, then you're just in support of Israel, and you're like, it's just so weird.
not from some anti-Semitic backwardness, but much rather the fact that Palestinians lived in their homes and experienced dispossession, and thus their recent history has been an experience of dispossession, marginalization, that came at the hands of the British and the preferential treatment of the Zionist project, and then the Zionist project. And drawing an equivalency saying like, oh, there's extremists on...
I like that they just stop right there. That it's the British rule. They were under fucking like Ottoman rule before that. You fucking understand that, right? Like it's just so. It actually bugs me to no end that all these people love to talk about ancient histories of people, but they fucking stop at the Ottoman Empire for some dumb reason, as though the Ottoman Empire was like some justifiable like group that was ruling without. Like it's just so fucking weird. It's actually so weird because like just to be clear. There was never a free Palestine. There was never that. Even ancient Syria, Palestina, it was never a free nation. It was always under the rule of another. Whether it was the Byzantines or the Ottomans or the Romans or the, like whatever it was, it was always under rule. And the fact that they always want to just act like, well, go back to what the, like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's just stupid. It's ignorant. Because obviously, people love to argue, oh, the ancient Jewish people, that's like what, the homeland argument that Israelis make. And even that argument is poor, because that's still not going back far enough, because in the Hebrew Bible, in the Torah, it explains that Israel was a conquered land. Judea, they conquered it over the Canaanites. I forget which group. The No. Almost said Mennonites. Those are Amish people. Fuck, I don't remember. But then the Romans at some point pushed the Jews out, and that's when they changed it to Syria, Palestina, to remove any type of like Jewish like culture from the land. And then it went through multiple hands down the line. I don't remember exactly all of them. It's just like, can we talk for a minute? Can we take a minute to talk about how much of a psychopath that Tom Ward is? He just posted on his story that he likes going to the dentist. Oh, I don't go to the dentist that often, so maybe I do kind of like it myself, but I don't know. It's a little much. Depends on what he's going to get done. Like, if he's just getting a cleaning, maybe. Cleaning's not that bad. Just depends on how fucked up your teeth are. I've never had a cavity, though, in my life. I don't go to the dentist that often, and I've also never had a cavity. At all. Ever in my life. Mild gingivitis, though. But I floss now. Did the British tell the Jews to go there after World War II? Well, that's the thing, right? Is there was the Zionist project that had already formed before the Holocaust even happened, and the Zionist project was trying to make a claim to Israel for to the British government and stuff, and then when it came to the UN that they needed some place to go, they were like, okay, let's just work it in then. My shiny teeth and me, shiny teeth, shiny teeth. When I'm feeling lonely, that is I can be, all by myself, nobody else. My shiny teeth and me, shiny teeth, shiny teeth. I'm gonna sing that whole song now, because now it's in my head. Oh, it's Chris Kirkpatrick. I forgot. When I'm feeling lonely, sad as I can be, all by myself, an uncharted island in an endless sea. What makes me happy fills me up with glee. Those bones in my jaw that don't have a flaw, my shiny teeth and me. My shiny teeth that twinkle just like the stars in space. My shiny teeth that sparkle, adding beauty to my face. Don't like my singing? That's rude. My shiny teeth that glisten just like a Christmas tree. They'd walk a mile just to see me smile. Woo! My shiny teeth and me, shiny teeth, shiny teeth. Yes, they're all so perfect, so white and pearly. Brush, gargle, rinse, a couple breath mints, my shiny teeth and me. My shiny teeth so awesome, just like your favorite song. My shiny teeth, I floss them, so they'll grow to be real strong. My shiny teeth, I love them, and they all love me. Why should I talk to you when I've got 32? Woo! My shiny teeth and me, shiny teeth, shiny teeth. Yes, I'm still going. I won't keep going though. Nate coded singing, thank you. Nate is the singing legend. Viewers dropped fast. Viewers went up, thank you very much. It's about the same as it was. I don't know. I actually don't know if it went up or down. But let's get back to it.
On both sides, and that's the problem. Rather than saying, actually, one group of people came here and stole the land from the people who live there. It is crazy. And
that's why I can and that's why I can fully understand the issue with saying conflict in my original video, because I could see how that sort of creates that sort of equalization when that's not the case at all. And that's the importance of saying a genocide is happening right now at this time in particular, when people are trying to, when it's so clearly not a both sides situation, people are still trying to demonize the Palestinians in whatever way they can, particularly Hamas, to create
New Epstein emails that mention Trump spent hours with one of his victims as thousands of documents released. We finally get the Epstein files? Are we gonna get more fucking just dumb, shitty responses like, oh, it doesn't matter. He was spending hours with her trying. I saw somebody say this. If this comes out, if they try and use this argument, I hope it's the final Hail Mary. What if Trump just goes, I was on Epstein's island. I was friends with Jeffrey Epstein, but it's because I've been a CIA agent this whole time. I've been working with the CIA and FBI to uncover the pedophile ring going on with the elite. What if that's Trump's angle that he tries to use? Who's harder to listen to, Denims or Madison, or me singing? Me singing Shiny Teeth in Me. Please, with all of your might, find a way to join Boythrob. I think I could join Boythrob. I'll be that cool older guy. I honestly, I don't know how old they are. They seem younger. I feel like they're just out of high school. Yeah, he's been working for Russia since the 80s. Yeah, that's true. Denim's where she just stares and does faces. She does the Momo face. Sometimes Denim's just be sitting there like this. Sorry for the jump scare. I like the Shiny Teeth song, but I have no fucking idea where it comes from. Yeah, it's Fairly Odd Parents. It's Chip Skylark. What are you talking about?
create this sort of equalization. Well, both sides are bad.
Should I make it a poll? I guess I can make it a poll. We still have time. Give me a sec. I'll keep it playing.
Narrative, and so calling it a conflict can only lead to that. And so I can see that. I mean, that's what I forgot to say in the beginning. I was recommended to read this book and took notes of it. And I still have a lot of ways to go and in terms of education and everything. But that's some of the notes and which I told you personally. But one thing that I particularly wrote down that I thought was interesting. Is when speaking on the two-state solution, language like a land for two people, the peace process, the Israel-Palestine conflict, the need to stop violence on both sides, the two-state solution allows politicians to remain ineffective out of either will or necessity. And so essentially, especially in the U.S., it feels like that sort of narrative of just, oh, both sides are bad, or let's create peace, and oh, the two-state solution has sort of created this.
Yeah, and it's Elon Pape that she's talking about, which isn't, he's a historical scholar who does talk about things like through a historical lens, but with a framing that is the issue. Like at the end of the day, it's you are reading something with a critical framing rather than just taking in the actual like independent data and then trying to come up with your, an educated conclusion. You are just reading the conclusions of others and then stating them as facts.
This idea of just kicking the ball down the line, is that the saying?
Yeah. Kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, where it's sort of and just creating this sort of which is not the narrative at all, but it sort of it soothes the politicians who are continuing to sort of bolster up the evil that is happening, and having any sort of verbiage like conflict can also further that as well, and that's definitely something that I fully agree with. And what was I going to say on that? Yeah, and I think that also it plays on the U.S.'s longstanding Islamophobia and how we are we do not want to face our own Islamophobia because it would cause us to face our own wars that have been very much related to Islamophobia and have preyed on the Americans' Islamophobia rather than the reasons behind it. And so I think that all of that is sort of interconnected in my opinion.
Many. I think there's also a thing that you have to appreciate, that many people in American and British society enjoy the killing of people that they deem as others. You hear it in their rhetoric about how, oh, well, these are evil, monstrous terrorists who are responsible for the violence that's inflicted upon them and such, rather than ever confronting, like, hang on a second, this didn't begin with this political group, and it won't end with it. And until the West takes a look in the mirror and stops trying to create a world in which there are just these evil, monstrous others who destroy the world and destabilize it, rather than confronting others who play the part in that we back up and support, and acting as if, our fight for democracy is some actual true thing, rather than saying, actually, we've just interfered in the world and destroyed so many human beings' lives because it was expedient to do so for maintaining what we wanted in the world. Like, that's not, we have done that over and over again throughout the history of the United Kingdom, throughout the history of America. All of these things are like undeniable, and it's something that happened after the fall of the Soviet Union. People already had problems with Islam, but it really took off because we need.
Oh, is he another tanky that's just like, the Soviet Union, the USSR should have won. They got rid of gulags in the 60s. Then they just had the KGB. What's wrong with that? Like, I just don't get it. I don't know if he's actually like I don't know if he's a tanky or what, but oh no. They got rid of the gulags after Stalin died. Who gives a shit?
Needed our new enemy in Western society to be like, look how bad they are. Our justification for going to war. It shifted towards the Islamic world and Muslims more generally, and even non-Muslims.
Oh, she is doing the Taylor nod, but having this here, I think is going to prevent them from being able to cut it well. They might be able to. I used it for my thumbnail.
Muslim leaders, because it was like, well, it's expedient for us to have some enemy that people can imagine. And I think people addressing this kind of racism is something that matters so much in terms of building a better world, because I don't think we can just sit here and pretend, oh, it's just these people making the world bad, Like, I really don't. And I think that anyone who isn't willing to confront that is someone who is going to cause problems, because the system in which we live is also incredibly violent, and our support for Israel has inflicted far greater tragedy on the Palestinian people that has been sustained for decades. I know I said this to you earlier, but understanding Palestine through exclusively spectacular violence like October the 7th or the Gaza genocide misses out on the much more benign. And in many examples, we actually see how the benign policies that aren't just straight up killing someone can be so bad. We see them in the cases of Native Americans who their children were ripped away from them and sent to these schools where they were to be educated to not be a Native American anymore. People literally see that as genocide, but they want you to focus on Palestine in terms of like, Israelis and Palestinians are both victims.
What are you talking about, bro? Nobody does that. And again, we're talking about Ethan and Hila here. That was kind of the conversation we were supposed to be having, but you've gone into this greater context of the American viewpoint and this and that, which is also just not a sentiment that is held amongst many people. It is far right conservatives that hold that kind of sentiment. So to push that upon people that are on your side, onto leftists, is creating infighting that is unnecessary, that is only allowing exactly what she was talking about. Because, yeah, the two-state solution, you can believe, oh, well, that's just going to be kicking the can down the road. You know what's more kicking the can down the road is fighting with the only people that would actually vote for the things that you fucking want. When the other side, the actual opposition, are the ones that are continuing to allow this to happen.
Every single day, Palestinians are degraded and subjected to violence wherever they may be. They are surveilled, their houses are taken from them, they are constantly at risk of being killed by the Israeli war machine. Their houses, I have friends who grew up there, and they spoke to me about like a thing. Imagine soldiers just storming into your house and taking it over and saying, this is a military base for as long as we need it. We're going to fuck up that house, we may spray graffiti. There are stories about even things being carved into the tables back in 2014 in Gaza, like death to Arabs and all this kind of stuff that is pushed on Palestinians by these Israelis. And I think that it goes back to the thing of which is kind of something that also I didn't consider as well. If you were really, really upset about Israel, if you were really, really upset about how you were framed, surely you would be instantaneous, especially Hila would be like instantaneously, no, that Rudy Giuliani statement is crazy, which is not how the podcast flowed. It is not how the podcast went. It was, well, actually, there were loads of conversations going on at the same time, instead of just saying, like, oh my God, it does look like I'm endorsing that. Oh, I'm really sorry. Because frankly, Ethan has said categorically that he is proud of.
I think that she did say it looks like it could be bad, but like, I don't think that she needs to concede that point at all, even if she didn't. Yeah, it could be perceived as bad, but it's kind of an unnecessary argument when she goes on to express that it's negative and is willing to say that it's bad. Because what you're arguing then is that she is a liar who has this underlying sentiment that she is not willing to express. but is willing to express a lie that is what you agree with, but isn't good enough somehow. It just...
Hila for having served in the Israeli military in the middle of a genocide. He said that. He said, oh, it was serving her country. He called Hassan a coward for not serving Turkey. Hila said that Israelis who don't serve in the Israeli military are selfish. And that is like an unbelievable thing to say in this time.
What is the context of her saying that? Because the reason she was saying it was selfish is I'm pretty sure that was in the context of her talking about West Bank settlers too. Or maybe she was talking about just other people, because it's like, you know, mandatory conscription, so you are being forced into it. And then there are people that can find this religious exemption or all these other exemptions. And yeah, as somebody who's like, I'm going into this having to do it, it's selfish for other people to just back away and be able to get out of it. You know, it's the same view that people, I mean, honestly, it's like the same view that people have about like and this isn't like a great view, but it is a similar view to people have about draft dodgers. But I also think that that sentiment is mostly about West Bank settlers that aren't required to be a part of the IDF.
When actually those who don't serve make a sacrifice, which I've spoken to these Israelis, and they said actually it's the bare minimum, not wanting to participate in what is done to Palestinians. But at the same time, they risk going to prison. They trouble their lives. They make them more difficult because they are, you know, because they are in prison and employment opportunities are taken away from them. And Hila called them selfish, and it doesn't really add up. And you know what I mean? It doesn't really add up with this position of being really anti-Israel and against the genocide.
Again, I think I continued to ask the question. They said their biggest contention with me was the indoctrinated from birth or programmed from birth statement. And so, okay, fair enough, deleted that clip because it wasn't just them. Again, I continue to have this fear of, or not fear, I continue to be concerned with the amount of H3 fans who could be potentially Zionists who are incredibly afraid of anti-Semitism and even potentially playing into that, pointing the finger at their content creators saying they're anti-Semitic, because it was not just Ethan who sent that message, like who said that message or reiterated that. It was tons of other people who had sent that message to me saying that what I had said in that instance was anti-Semitic, it was horrible. And so I did want to listen to that. And it's not just because I care about anti-Semitism. I have a personal...
Well, that was the main criticism that was levied against you in terms of saying that you had Nazi talking points. The whole video is just wrought with bad stuff, just incorrect information, lies at times, because like it's just, you act as though you know nothing about this video that you made either. It's just everything is against you in this, I think.
Situation with that where one of my best friends is Jewish, and I went to her wedding over the summer, and so it hit home for me in that aspect where I genuinely was like,
that's what I was thinking about. He's so ass backwards here. That was about settlers that get a religious exemption from service, and they support the far right government doing all the killing. Yeah. Well, I mean, I literally saw a video of these right wing, far right, like Jewish settlers who were on the land being like, I'm here for my, and it was a guy recording them being like, why are you here? And he's like, I'm taking back my homeland. This is my land. And that's disgusting. That's evil. That is wrong. But again, it's not Jewish people. It's not Israelis. It's the settlers. It's the government that allows this to happen. It's the government that wants the expansionist goals and then allows these settlers to expand for this like greater Israel, whatever, you know, that whole thing.
like, oh my God, like, you know, really afraid of that aspect. But at the same time, genuinely, as I had said on the podcast, when I have I want to listen when it comes to instances of Muslim individuals, you know, people who are, you know, transgender, LGBTQ plus, really looking at their lived experiences in the current day and how they are experiencing life. What are instances of homophobia, transphobia, Islamophobia, and how I can actually examine that and speak to that. And so that's normally how I go about making content. So when so many people are telling me that, it really made me think, oh, okay, what did I do? Did I really genuinely misstep? Did I really say a Nazi talking point here? I really did question that deeply and become afraid.
I guess it went one ear and out the other. I didn't hear that part. My friend is Jewish, so I can't be anti-Semitic. Really, Madison? I have a Jewish friend, but that's partially why I care about like Judaism. Like care about the Jewish people. Not Judaism, I guess necessarily. I care about Judaism too, but that's for a different aspect. But I care about Jewish people because I have a Jewish friend. But I also care about all people, you know? At the end of the day. I don't think that's necessarily requires, like, do you have any Palestinian friends? Why do you care about Palestine then? What are you talking about? I like Bilal Muhammad from the UFC, so I can't be Islamophobic. I like Islam Makhachev from the UFC, so I cannot be Islamophobic.
Especially, like I said, because of my friend, and that was really hard for me in that situation. Just because, again, she was one of the first friends I made after becoming a mom, and making friends is a really hard experience. A lot of mothers can probably speak to that. And so she was one of my first friends I made after becoming a mom, and so it was really a personal situation like that. Anyway, so. But the thing that I noticed is that a lot of them who are sending these messages, I would engage with them in the comments, which I would not recommend.
My wife is Jewish. Can I be anti-Semitic? No, you can't. That makes your kids Jewish. Look, I am.
And normally, but genuinely because I wanted to learn to kind of open that up, a dialogue, I would engage and I would say kind of, okay, how can I? Again, I would continue to ask, how can I speak to Israel, to what is happening, and not be anti-Semitic? Again, without that statement, that's what you have an issue with. Okay, disregard that. How can I continue to speak about, the atrocities of Israel and not be seen as anti-Semitic? And nothing was said. There's no more dialogue. And so for me, I start to fear that these accusations of anti-Semitism are more so a conversation limiter, a thought limiter, and not a way to, and there's no further dialogue beyond that. There's no further way to speak on, okay, again, Ethan continues to claim, I've empathized with the Palestinian people, I've spoken about Palestine, but when it comes to other people speaking about it, he will point the finger and say anti-Semitism, and he will.
It's because of the context in what they are saying. Oh my God. You just go, well, like him calling out people that are Palestinian activists is not the same as him being against Palestinian activists. Why doesn't he call out all Palestinian activists then? Why is he only going off after this niche group that supports terrorism and supports like these things like 9/11 and fucking like stuff like that? Like, why do you think he's specifically going after them? There's other people.
Will not actually engage with you on how you can go about it in a productive manner. And to me, that's very telling as well, that he does not actually want there to be a productive conversation in this way.
I think as well, like maybe the way in which it's phrased from birth might like have upset him, and okay, appreciating that. But at the same time, as I mentioned to you, and someone has literally just mentioned this in chat, Israelism is a documentary that exists that talks about how undeniably there are schools for young Jewish people that talk about Israel continuously, that teach people that Israel is part of their Jewishness and part of their culture. This is something that Ethan himself has repeated, saying, well, 9 out of 10 Jewish people support Israel, so you're saying that anyone who supports Israel's right to exist is anti-Semitic. He himself has no problem with saying that, like, oh, every Jewish person, or almost near enough every Jewish person supports Israel. He's referred to many Jewish people who don't as tokens. But it's not just one documentary either. There are plenty of people who have made TikTok videos, especially since October the 7th, saying, hey, I was actually a Zionist my entire life. From my birth, I was taught that Israel was good. There's a couple of people. There's people who were raised in Israel. There are people who were not raised in Israel. Ilan Pappé is a great example. Ilan Pappé, I believe, was born in Israel, I think in around 1948. Ilan Pappé fought in the Six-Day War for Israel. So he fought against Egypt and Syria for Israel. And, he admits in Israeli society that people are, and they talked about it on Palestine, as you mentioned, that there is high levels of indoctrination in Israeli society to be taught that actually Palestinians are the inheritance of Nazi anti-Semitism, that they want to wipe out all Jewish people, that they hate you for the same reasons that the Nazis did, and they don't actually confront what the Nazis believed. The reason I loosely...
Yeah, and Ilan Pappé has also been called out by people like Benny Morris for fucking cherry-picking information and, framing his content for means of ideology. So it's like, okay, man, I just keep... It does bug me because it's like the one fucking person... People learned about one author and then started going like, okay, we have somebody now. Now we don't point to any type of YouTubers. We just point out a bunch of books that other people should read instead of arguing actual like perspectives.
To use the term Nazi about people is when they practice a racial supremacist ideology which says actually certain human beings are inferior. They're not worthy of the same things as me. They don't deserve...
So other people's anecdotes and opinions are contextually important, but not Ethan and Hila's. Well, their opinions are just wrong. So that's why she gets to call them out. Why is she talking like she made a video about Palestine and Ethan out of nowhere attacked her? Am I crazy, or was her video called "The Fall of H3"? I mean, I feel like Israel-Palestine was such a small issue it was such like a small part of the video, and it became the biggest issue for her. And it wasn't because of H3 fans; it was because of people calling her out for calling it a conflict and not a genocide. It's just so dumb.
Deserve to live in the country. I shouldn't have any empathy or respect for these people. They should be humiliated, degraded, and killed. That's what Nazism looks like. Not someone maybe making a comment deemed insensitive to Ethan. Like, I'm sorry, it's not like, look at your other content. It's about...
Oh, Pape is Kunzler's mentor. He's talked about it. That's the reason for his bias. Oh. I didn't know that. That's interesting. He's like directly worked under... Like, is he his actual mentor, or do you just mean that in like a hypothetical sense, like he's read a lot of his books? Because if he's worked under him directly, I guess that would make more sense.
About like feminist content. Do you think like Nazis are feminists? Like it's genuinely like a truly unbelievable thing to sit there and express such high levels of emotion.
Wait, what? Wait.
maybe making a comment deemed insensitive to Ethan. Like, I'm sorry, it's not. Like, look at your other content. It's about, like, feminist content. Do you think, like, Nazis are feminists? Like, it's...
Do you think that somebody has to wholly agree or understand a form of bigotry to exude the, like, talking points and, like, bias of that bigotry? Like you're saying, it can be ingrained into somebody, like, you know, subliminally in some cases.
It's genuinely like a truly unbelievable thing to sit there and express such high levels of emotion when, once again, you can look at Ethan's... I mentioned this to you. You can look at Ethan's reaction to when Asmongold said the Holocaust 99% happened. His instantaneous reaction was not to go, this is, you know, he's a Nazi, fuck him, you're an anti-Semitic Nazi, and just hatred and bile because towards him when perhaps...
I don't think I've even seen that clip. What is that? I don't remember that even happening.
That's actually saying with a community that big, because he's one of the biggest streamers, you know, in the world, saying the Holocaust only 99% happened. That's like saying the Second World War only 99% happened. That's like saying the Iraq War 99% happened. It happened. Like, there's no two ways about it. If you think that there is a 1% chance that any of these things did not happen, then you are saying something that is crazy, you know, and you are starting to engage and cultivate a community of really hateful people.
Really scary shit. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that that's why, like, when the word Nazi has meaning, it refers to a racist political ideology that preached racial supremacy and otherized individuals. And I think when people do that today, when people look at another...
Actually, the Nazi Party was stood for the Nationalist Socialist group. So actually, it's fucking, bro, it's been co-opted, it's been changed. Like, what it means is it's another, I mean, it is just like another colloquialism for anti-Semite, like, basically. Or bigoted racists. Like, and I think that Nazi, honestly, if you want to think about it like in like a modern sense, I would say it's probably anybody that is an ultra nationalistic ethnocentrist, probably would be the sense. And so could you say that certain certain people have like Nazi ideology? Yeah, you could probably say it on any side, but it's just about if it's true or not, if they are actually an ethnocentric ultra-nationalist. And I don't think that she is that. But I do think that she has definitely espoused some rhetoric of Nazis. On a late note, Denims is cute. She may be disingenuous, but at least she doesn't hide it the same way Madison does. In my opinion, she never claimed to be both sides. That's fair too. Madison she didn't even want to stand behind her husband. She was like, my husband calls them flying monkeys. That's not what I said. She can't even stand by that. That's crazy.
And they say, you have degraded my society, and you are worthy of death for that degradation. You are worthy of expulsion. You are worthy of being sent back to wherever you've come to my society from. That is where I see the heirs of Nazism, not in all people who are criticizing. So there are, of course, people like Nick Fuentes. There's even a distinction amongst far righters. If your far right party was founded after the Second World War, generally you don't engage with anti-Semitism. If it was founded before, you do engage with anti-Semitism. This is why, like, Marine Le Pen, if you know who that is, so she's a leader of like the hard right in France. Marine Le Pen's father founded the party and was a collaborator with the Nazis. But he's also a guy who I think that this is correct. He tortured people for the French in Algeria. And this is kind of something that I tapped into earlier. Someone who is willing to collaborate with the Nazis didn't give a fuck about people being tortured and mass murdered in other parts of the world if they were racially inferior to them. And so I think just throwing out Nazi...
Wait, what?
I think that this is correct. He tortured people for the French in Algeria. And this is kind of something that I tapped into earlier. Someone who is willing to collaborate with the Nazis didn't give a fuck about people being tortured and mass murdered in other parts of the...
Why would they? They worked with the Nazis. Somebody that worked with the Nazis went and tortured people in French Algeria. Well... I don't understand the point he's trying to make there. Of course they wouldn't care. They don't have a sense of humanity.
The world if they were racially inferior to them. And so I think just throwing out Nazi, because like I know that this is part of what we're going to talk about, but like someone who doesn't quite understand Palestine as well and hasn't like researched it as much as perhaps like someone like myself has, saying something like that and having a blowout and sending your audience to be like, this woman is an evil Nazi, get her, she's defamed me, she's anti-Semitic, she's part of a campaign against me,
That's not what Ethan did at all. He went, you're a fucking Nazi, okay. And then I think moved on to the next point. He might have said it that she was a Nazi a couple times, but he didn't go get this Nazi, all of you in chat, go and find, like, what are you talking about?
a pretty irresponsible and crazy thing to do, because it's not the case, is it? Like, I call people Nazis when they're preaching racial supremacy, not when someone just makes a fucked up comment, you know?
Yeah.
Or
No,
by the way, I just want to reiterate.
no, I know.
As I say, like, there is 100% a kernel of truth in that comment. And saying that, like, God, that's the most anti-Semitic thing that I've ever heard. When I think if you actually ask a lot of anti-Zionist Jewish people, that they would say, actually, yeah, my upbringing was heavily Zionist. I don't really know about Ethan's personal upbringing. I know that his sister.
That is one thing I want to ask too. I not you, just like rhetorically speaking, because I don't want to say he feigns a lot of outrage, but my theory also, this is total sidetrack on this as well, but just blatantly putting it out there too. You know, because again, I consumed a lot of H3 content from their podcast directly in the preparation of that video. And one thing I noticed is he would often talk about The Godfather, or he went through a phase where he like would be kind of like, you know, about The Godfather and everything. And he, you know, was very, you know, he's a master poker player. And I think that a lot of, sometimes I struggle to discern what is authentic and what is strategy within himself. And I think I also worry for his own audience. Again, this is something I'll continue reiterating, because I worry for his audience more than I really care for him, genuinely, because honestly speaking, because I think that a lot of times he feigns outrage and he feigns sympathy. Again, they will accuse me of playing the victim, but that is all he does, is play the victim. And I think that it's something that they very much really do genuinely care about. They're very parasocially involved. And I think that again, so he'll feign outrage a lot of times, in my opinion. And this is one aspect that I really wonder about, because I haven't heard him talk much about his upbringing as a Jewish individual. Has he gone to, you know, like what was his upbringing essentially? We don't know.
We do know. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? We do know. If you did the slightest bit of research, you'd know. We don't know. She just keeps making these blanket statements about things that she's admitting she hasn't done the research on. And it's like, you can't do that. Ethan was born and raised Jewish. He had a bar mitzvah. There's photos of it. You could look it up, right? You can look up like Ethan Klein bar mitzvah. Bar mitzvah, yes. Wow, here's him reading his Torah portion. Whoa, it's almost like it's super fucking easy. And then learn that he became a reformed Jew, but still took his his trip to Israel and then met Hila there, and that's where they met, at the Holocaust Museum, and they could fucking, it's all this stuff is so easy to learn. Why are you asking Chris about Ethan's upbringing after the video you done and talking to Ethan? No, yeah, why are you asking Chris about it? Especially when Chris was just talking about, like, I feel like it's also just completely separate from the conversation that Chris was just trying to have.
You know, how much the only thing that I know is that the second that he had not the second, but, you know, he was really struggling a lot with his mental health in college. And his first thought was to do a birthright trip to help with that. That's the only thing I know. And I think that's, so I don't want to say interesting, because that'll be good, but I think that is interesting. I think it's telling about maybe, you know, a lot of people have a lot of other options that they consider before doing a birthright trip. They think
he was having a mental health crisis of some kind and decided, why don't I take a trip abroad to try and clear my head? That's a fucking out there thing to do? Let me take this covered trip abroad. What? Why would that be out there? Again, I wrote down in my my thesis, if you want to call it that maybe you do want to have like but like birthright is also like usually, I'm pretty sure, funded by the churches and stuff. My friend was explaining birthright to me. My friend is Jewish and he didn't do birthright, but he was explaining that like he could do it through his synagogue if he had done like a certain amount of something. It was like it was some kind of a test he had to follow, or some test he had to pass or something. Is she just implying that he's impulsive? Is that it? Yeah, taking a trip is very, very normal. Yeah, he was like 18. Yeah, birthright's also just like a standard thing. A lot of Jewish people do it. Like, and it's just something that, like, yeah, if it's happening in your community, like, I don't understand why that's interesting in any regard. It's literally like the least interesting part about it. At least go into like the actual conspiracy theories if you want. Like, go into the conspiracy theories about how is actually Ela is just the Israeli mind who's corrupting Ethan. It's like, just at least give us like some actual conspiracy theories instead of like this hooey. For real. Use my clown emojis, all the people that are members. Call her a clown.
They go to therapy, they go to, and his first thing was go to a birthright trip because he's dealing with generalized anxiety. And then essentially in his video, he claimed that the birthright trip helped him with everything. It literally cured everything. That was his video. Essentially, the birthright trip cured everything. It saved him. He met his wife, and it was, his savior of all of his problems that were going on in his life. Which, first off, I tried to very much empathize in my original video that would be very hard to disassociate a country that you have such emotional ties to, that you feel literally saved your life, disassociate from all of that and really see it for the reality that it is. But also, I think it is very telling that is your conclusion of that experience, rather than go to therapy if you're experiencing generalized anxiety. I mean, to be blatantly honest.
Well, he had this anxiety. He thought it was cured. He went to Israel and was like, oh, I met somebody. My life is seeming better now. Okay. And then the anxiety came back. It returned. His life became more anxious again. And it's just like... And that's just like such a fucking like... I'm sorry, but that's also a bit ableist to be like, well, you should have gone to therapy then. Like, that's fucking weird. That's a weird thing to say.
And also, like, just on birthright, it's not like just some trip. It's like you meet Israeli soldiers intentionally who tell you, I've just been dealing with these crazy terrorists. Oh my God, my life is under threat. I'm just in so much trouble from these evil monsters. And that's actually, in my understanding, one of the things that has the most lasting impact on American Jewish people. Generally, if you go to Israel and the position that you already held is, I'm not actually too sure about Israel, what you end up with is probably not changing like majorly. But what a considerable number of Jewish people who do go end up feeling, actually, I'm really worried about the safety of the Jewish connections I've made in Israel. And so a lot of it...
Well, actually, he went there and they voted against Benjamin Netanyahu. They like, I just don't understand like what the point is. Is you're just like, you're making these like, you guys are pontificating on this like thing that you know nothing about. You're just going like, well, I can assume why. I can make an assumption. Yeah, you know what happens when you assume? You make an ass out of you and me. It's just like this thing is just like all assumption based. None of this is actually based on any facts, any data, anything that they can show us. It's all just, oh, I mean, you could understand why Ethan would be a Zionist then, right? He went to Israel. His wife's from there. Like, why don't you actually do like the hard part in trying to understand what an actual connection to Israel is? Because again, like, are you going to give up your house to Native Americans? Are you? Give up your home. Give up your home now. Or do you just not care because those weren't the direct homes that were stolen? Even though that's not where every Israeli is. Like, everybody talks about like the stolen homes too. That's disgusting. It was evil, destructive, horrible, awful things. But they act as though they haven't built up any new like residential areas since then. It's kind of again, we're talking about the framing is the issue. We have no problem with the substance of the conversations you want to have, but when you frame it in a certain way that is like meant to imply some like just any type of angle, you are moving away from history and you are moving toward ideology. And again, you want to talk about like the history of the Levant and like the area and all this stuff. Like, let's have the conversation. Come on.
Taps into like, fears about your friends' lives, and you start thinking, well, Israel's protecting the people that I love and people I've formed relationships with. But like also at the same time, I've seen it described by this. I can't remember the name of the guy. He went on the birthright trip and he stands up and he's like, this is like going to the Jim Crow South without talking about what happened to black people. This is a crazy thing to be getting up to. It's a crazy thing that you can go on a paid trip.
Weird. Got a call.
But like also at the same time, I've seen it described by this. I can't remember the name of the guy. He went on the birthright trip and he stands up and he's like, this is like going to the Jim Crow South without talking about what happened to black people. This is a crazy thing to be getting up.
You know what would be crazy though is going to the Jim Crow South and then every black person you see going like, yeah, isn't it crazy like slavery? Wasn't like the segregation movement and like wasn't the Southern strategy just absolutely disgusting? That's such a weird thing to say.
up to. It's a crazy thing that you can go on a paid trip to go to a land that is occupied, and the reason you are brought there, the reason that people think that it is a good idea to bring you, is so as you support Israel better, so that you.
Or I guess maybe he was saying going directly to the actual Jim Crow South, like the South during Jim Crow. Is that what he's saying? Because like, even then, like, I don't know. That's also just not comparable because we're talking about the Jim Crow South, which would be the implementation of segregated legislation against black people, as opposed to Israel, which has this occupation over Gaza and the West Bank and the Palestinian people. But it's not, I mean, the contexts are definitely different. You could talk about similarities, but again, I really do hate all of these people that love to just make it similar to everything else. Don't call anybody a Nazi for speaking up against anti-Semitism. But what Israel's doing is like apartheid South Africa. It's like the Jim Crow South. It's like the Nazis. It's like it's just fucking. Like, and let's talk about the Bolsheviks. Let's talk about this. It's just fucking dumb. Like, it's again double standards. Like, there's just a double standard here.
You either move there, which is the ultimate goal, because the Zionist project is open about its desires to have as many Jewish people there. It offers benefits. This is not some crazy thing to say. But it also hopes that if you don't do that you go back home and you influence those around you to say, actually, you know what? I've been, and it wasn't that bad for the Arabs. And like my friends who I love there are really at risk. My friends who are really at risk are really, my friends who I really love and care about are really at risk of being killed. And I think like, it's impossible to run away from that. It's impossible to get away from. That's.
Sorry, just to interject, I was going to say, so my neighbor, again, this conversation where she comes over to tell me how wrong I am. She talks about, what I think is so interesting is she talks about, I keep using that word interesting, but she talks about coming over to speak with me, going over to Israel. And specifically going to, I want to say Yad Vashem, right? The Holocaust Museum in Israel, and how, essentially, how horrifying it was. I mean, obviously horrifying, but how it just changed her entire perspective. How going to Israel changed her entire perspective. Going to that museum changed her entire perspective. And I thought, speaking to her, it was very hard for me, like, do you not see this? But anyways,
wait, what? Wait.
Changed, horrifying it was. The Holocaust Museum, so interesting, as she talks about a neighbor.
Like, it's impossible.
Let's really listen to this real quick. Let's really listen to this.
To interject, I was going to say, so my neighbor,
her journalist neighbor,
where she comes over to tell me how wrong I am. She talks about, what I think is so interesting is she talks about, I keep using that word interesting, but she talks about coming over to speak with me, going over to Israel. And specifically going to, I want to say Yad Vashem, right? The Holocaust Museum in Israel, and how, essentially, how horrifying it was. I mean, obviously horrifying, but how it just changed her entire perspective. How going to Israel changed her entire perspective. Going to that museum changed her entire perspective. And I thought, speaking to her, it was very hard for me, like, do you not see this? But anyways.
Do not see what? Don't go anyways. You were talking to a journalist who has been there, and you're having a conversation with her and going, well, don't you see it though? What are you talking about? Actually contend with the arguments that are being made. Don't just go, you know what I mean? You know, we don't get it. No, this is her journalist neighbor that she said came over to chew her out. Well, because she was saying that when she went to the Middle East, a lot of Middle Eastern countries were racist to her, but Israel was accepting to her, and Israel, and honestly, I don't know if was it just racist, because I mean, a woman going to the Middle East isn't always going to be bad, but there are definitely more restrictions on women in the Middle East. So, but then, like, you are not taking in any of this actual criticism that's being levied against you, which you were talking about before. Oh, the H3 fan base cannot do any type of introspection. They can't look at themselves and reflect and have like a reflexive nature, like, or reflective nature. Like, basically, she's like, she really thinks that like anybody against her cannot reflect and only reflex. Everybody's reflexive, just bouncing back, hitting back. We don't know what we're doing, but we're just throwing punches back. You don't know anything that you're talking about, which you've admitted to. And then you want to like hold but then you're trying to like hold everybody else accountable. It's fucking so weird.
She particularly spoke about, specific exhibits, like one exhibit where it's a candle and a bunch of mirrors and children's shoes from the Holocaust, or another one of women in a in snow, knee deep, and they're naked in the sort of exhibit. And first off, very interesting to apply that perspective in terms of Ethan's own story, because I'm pretty sure that's where him and Ela met. And so to hear how it affected my, again, white, blonde, non-Jewish neighbor, to know, again, this is Ethan Klein, who is, he has his own ancestral lineage is connected. So I'm sure that affected him emotionally even more so. So that was, but she spoke about that. And then she spoke about how going around Israel, Palestinians coexisted with Israelis and that they were, this is specifically the verbiage that she chose, that it was like the Red Sox and the Yankees. And that they would just be like, oh, you Palestinians, the Israelis. And that was essentially what it was like. And that it was just the politicians that were against each other. But the actual citizens, that was essentially the extent of their outrage with one another. And that was...
And you're just going to go, well, that's just untrue. Look at Gaza. They have Arabs in their government, in political positions. It is 20% or 20% Arab, 30%, it's like 29% or something non-Jewish. You can talk about like having an ethnic majority, what that means. There are ethnic majorities in a ton of fucking countries. You care about it being a Jewish ethnic majority. That is literally like the only difference. There are ethnic majorities all over. That's why I brought up fucking in my point was, yeah, you probably want to create some kind of system to counterbalance that for the minority populations, like minority veto structure that's seen like in Belgium. Because Belgium has like a mostly Flemish population, but they have French, like French speaking like counterbalances, so that people like it's an even. It's about equity over equality in a sense, at least on a governmental level. Yeah, here are 2 million people that live in Israel proper. I mean, it could have been a different time too. Yeah, that too. But I mean, honestly, what she's talking about is going to Israel proper. She's talking about going to Israel proper, and yeah, people are like what Ethan was saying, that Ethan got a bunch of shit for is acting. Everybody acts like it's the Jim Crow South, like you go there and it's the Jim Crow South, when literally what you're talking about is a completely different structure. It just is. And so that's the thing, is she's taking it like it is the Jim Crow South. It is like going to the Jim Crow South. See, this guy who studied it, who hasn't been there. I don't know if he's been there. He might have. Maybe he has. Maybe that's why he thinks that is. He's lived there for many years. But it's just like, obviously there are these counter perspectives. But if you're not even willing to listen to something that goes against your like preconceived notion, then you are an ideologue. You are no longer somebody who is a critical thinker. You are an ideologue.
Is her experience that she kind of came over and spoke with me about. And I thought that was fascinating. Sorry, just to kind of, I guess, go off of what you're saying in terms of just someone who had gone to Israel and their experience, and how she was so adamant with telling me that too, in terms of she was very much felt that I had been, I'm on the wrong side, and I was, so it was...
No, I mean, also, as I was saying earlier, like, if you, the problem is if you, like, kind of just, I don't know, that is that you're like, this thing happened in the past and it will never happen again, and you don't confront, like, I think it was, I can't remember who said this, but they said one of the most unfortunate things about the slogan, and never again, is that it has become time and time again, that I think people are not paying enough attention and understanding that genocides have happened across many different places. The Holocaust happened inside Europe. There are people who write about this, who talk about, actually, this kind of stuff was done to Congolese people. Hundreds of actually millions of Algerians were interned in re-education camps and were subjected to brutality, mass killings by the French, who ruled over their land for years and planned to exterminate them. The killing of the Native Americans inspired the Nazis in what they did. That is a fact. That is an undeniable fact. Hitler wrote with glee about what the Americans had done.
So what? So what? Literally, so what? Okay? Yes, that's true. And what? What is your point about this? Yes.
To the natives. And I think if you do not see the thread, the connection between all of these racial supremacist, exterminationist ideologies in the belief that there are human beings who are undeserving of the land and the consequences of that, then I don't know what to say, because Palestine is happening in a different era, and it is also a cause that has been very internationalized for a very long time. And many of the people who were the strongest advocates for Palestine in the 20th century were very international figures. People like, everyone knew who Yasser Arafat was in the 1960s and 70s, or a lot of people knew who he was anyway. And he brought Palestine to the global stage. And part of what that has not allowed Israel to do is to carry out, like, the same slaughter that we've seen previously. Up until this point, in Gaza, they have exterminated more than 70,000 people at minimum. However, 100,000 more at minimum, 130,000 are wounded. Some of those wounds are something that will never go away. But they have eviscerated the social life of 2 million people. They have destroyed cultural memory, history, fabric. The people who first wrote about genocide spoke about genocide being something so much.
And literally what you're saying is, it's just so stupid, because what you are arguing is like to create some kind of like repetitive history, because we are trying to acknowledge it and figure out a way. Like I said, I think that honestly the best way to do it is to reconstitute both Israel and Palestine as two independent, separate states. That's difficult, and obviously it was against what the government wants in Israel. But I do think that that's more plausible than whatever you guys are even offering. Like, what are you offering? Because you're just saying, well, it's a genocide. Okay, we agree. It's a genocide. So we shouldn't care about what happened to Jewish people, or what has happened to Jewish people for thousands of years. Like, I don't get the point. We shouldn't care about genocides that did happen because genocides always happen, and so should we care about the genocide that's happening right now? But like, I don't get it.
Much broader. And I think that if you are willing to say what Nazism, if you are willing to understand what genocide is, you must look at Gaza and your reaction must be, how could this happen? Not actually, people who see me comment on this and say inappropriate things are the problem. Because like even yesterday, they're upset that some models are like, I found out that he supported Israel. And it's like, Ethan's response is, I've never supported Israel. And I mean, here are just like a short list. He posted in earlier this year at the height of the Gaza famine. Meanwhile, in Sudan, to highlight the fact that Sudan's famine is worse, completely ignoring the fact that to address famine in Sudan.
Is that support of Israel? How is that support of Israel?
Requires getting a multitude of different militant organizations.
The point of him doing that is pointing out the fact that people only seem to care about individual aspects of individual like crises that happen in the fucking public eye, that happen on social media, that happen and create this like emboldening without actual knowledge of international conflict. That's the point that he was making. Not to say what was better or what was worse. That's a fucking what? I just keep going, what?
To stop and isn't just as simple as a Western-backed nation allowing aid that is continually supplied to go into a place where there was already an aid system that worked there. He has also categorically justified.
It's so crazy to me that they speak with such confidence about blatant misinformation. Even I do more research and I'm just a shitter with no public voice. No, exactly. I'm just a shitter with a public voice and I do research. No, but like what was said before is he just seems like an ideologue then. If he's actually like worked under Elon Pape in some way, like studied under him in some way, that's kind of what we need to know.
The bombing of hospitals by saying Hamas hides there. And then even when he was talking to you, his first response was, what's the best situation? It was, well, Hamas goes. And it's like, Hamas goes and then what? And then apparently international Arab coalitions give them dignity and respect back. It's like, I think Palestinians getting back basic social life is something which I advocate for, but it is not the ultimate solution in Palestine. The ultimate solution in Palestine is saying no more to racial supremacist ideologies. No more, that this cannot go on. The ideologies that say, no, actually, the damned Arabs are just evil, monstrous anti-Semites who come and kill.
Do Ethan and Hila say that?
And we're justified in doing whatever to them. We cannot accept that. We have to say that there are no two ways about it. That must be prevented. That must be stopped. Yep. And I think that anyone who is not unequivocally like, yes, I totally agree with that. And I myself will address things where I'm like, hey, I don't think you should. Like, I think this. Actually, I'll leave that conversation for slightly later.
You literally said earlier that people were coming against you and saying that you support Israel because you were standing up against anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. So honestly, just shut the fuck up at this point. Like, it's just so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous to try and like toe this line without understanding how fucking. Like, just irony out the ass. Saying you are pro-Israel is so weird too. Like, what do you mean? I like the country, the people, the government. I don't like Russia's government either as a European, but I don't hate the population. No, exactly. It's like, and in support of Ukraine, yeah, it's like we don't hate Russian people. You hate the government. You hate Putin. You hate Bibi Netanyahu. You hate the people in power. You hate Trump. You hate their cabinets. You hate the people that like. You never hate the people, and you never conflate the two.
But yeah, I think that like if your reaction is to make it about your feelings, and my Palestinian friend said this, he said, I'm sorry, but how are you telling me about your feelings when my friends and family in Gaza don't have even basically the capacity for feelings, for experiencing normal things because they are being subjected to it?
What feelings are you talking about? What we're talking about is historical context, and it's not fucking feelings. We're talking about governance and historical context and geopolitics, and in like this goes way beyond just that makes me upset. The idea that Jewish people won't have a place to stay, that makes me upset. What we're talking about is the history of Jewish people as minorities in different countries and what that always comes out to, and the levels of conspiracies which you fucking talked about earlier against Jewish people that leads to scapegoating as through these ultra-nationalistic fucking ideologies that you hate so much, that you present to hate so much. Like, Like, come on.
to extermination. And Ethan is very much like, I just care about Israeli civilians too. It's like, sorry, Israeli civilians were killed on October the 7th over a year, nearly 2 years ago. Palestinians were being slaughtered 100 people per day. They are still in atrocious famine-like situations. There is nothing left. The entire social fabric has been destroyed there, and Israeli soldiers are allowed to wander around Europe, do as they please. It's like really difficult to see how you can both sides this right now and not understand that actually there was no equivalency between the black slaves and the people who had slaves and the black slaves who took up weaponry and fought against them.
That makes absolutely, those two things are not interconnected. Those two things are just not the same at all. And literally just at all. An occupation with a military done by a military force is not the same as fucking slavery. You could argue which one's worse. Like literally, you could have an argument about which one is actually worse, but they're not the same thing. That's fucking like what are you saying?
Killing civilians, we know it is wrong. Killing innocent people and perpetrating war crimes.
Yes,
is
yes,
wrong.
It is wrong. Yes.
However, Israel has so consistently done those things to Palestinians. You know, it's like. Yeah. Please feel free to go on. I know I'm just talking.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought it was all really informative, and so I want to listen as much as I can. But yeah, I mean, so the first thing I wanted to say is, I mean, from the book, I had a few things that I wrote down, but something I thought the
No, please get back on your soapbox and don't let her talk anymore.
was interesting to kind of, sorry, I always bump my mic. I'm bumping my hands way too much. Let me know if I do that too much. But they spoke about genocide. I mean,
yeah, how do we not deserve the same treatment by their standard? How does the UK not deserve the same treatment? How does fucking literally every country in existence not deserve the same exact treatment? Because they are all like they were all founded on the destruction of somebody else. That's just the truth. Every nation. Somebody got fucking decimated to create the nation you live in. And it is about figuring out who those minority populations are and trying to uplift them out of the distressful lifestyles that they've been put into. That's why I'm spending this month, I've been trying to learn more about indigenous people across the Americas. I've been trying to understand more about like the history, pre-colonialism, through colonialism. Like all of this stuff is necessary to know, and none of it is you can say it's similar, but none of it is the same to any other issue. They are all in their own right complex and important to understand. Yeah, every nation in history except the very first who aren't in the books. Yeah, the ones that got conquered.
I'll just try and I'm kind of referring to my notes a little bit, but first off,
yeah, he's also talking to a military wife. Should her husband not be allowed to walk around because he was in the military? Yeah, I mean, look what how long's your husband been in the military for? Huh? How long's your husband been in the military? Because if he's been to Iraq or Afghanistan or any of those countries, we've done some pretty bad stuff over there. Do you remember, fuck, why can't I remember the name right now? I feel bad for not remembering the name. Abu Ghraib. That was it. Abu Ghraib. Do we remember what happened at Abu Ghraib? Where they tortured and abused the prisoners and fucking like sexually assaulted them and like took photos of them naked, stacked on top of each other, took photos of their dead bodies while they stood next to them smiling, giving thumbs up. They did disgusting things there. Should we treat every, like, not even just every American, should we treat every soldier the same as those people that were part of this specific heinous, evil, disgusting thing that was done by the American government? No, because I would hope that there are people that would stand out and be like, this is wrong. But the people that they got to do it weren't.
This is from page 31 of On Palestine. Frank Barat claims that anyone who's been in Israel, as long as he knows that the worst corruption of young Israelis is the indoctrination they receive that totally dehumanizes the Palestinians, depicts civilian areas as military bases, seeing people as military targets in order to ethnically cleanse your population is what can lead to a genocide as your victim becomes dehumanized. I think that's a good kind of quote that relates to this conversation, is in terms of like Nazism and genocides. It's essentially just this idea of seeing victims as military targets and dehumanizing them over long periods of time, easily leading to a genocide, and being this sort of Nazism ideology. And the irony in all of that of pointing the fingers at others and saying criticizing us is Nazism while you are doing all of that, and the Zionist sort of Israeli.
That's not always true though. Nations are only a recent thing too, historically recent. Well, yeah, I mean, I just don't. I can't think of a single one off the top of my head that isn't at least, at the very least, occupied by another nation. Like, have French colonialization, even if they are independent. I mean, there are countries that have become independent, but again, that was on the foundation of maybe a colonialization that they had overcome. But I mean, if you could offer some, I mean, it'd be interesting to know. Because I mean, I'm sure. I mean, there's a lot of countries, right? There's a fucking ton of countries. I'm sure there's at least a couple. But you understand the point that I'm making is that minimizing the peoples to their government is reductionist at the very least.
Supremacy.
100%. And I mean, the other thing is that I think if all of your criticism and all of your showtime is dedicated to like this kind of stuff rather than talking about what's going on in Palestine, apparently as someone who advocates for Palestine and doesn't deserve the criticism and doesn't deserve blowback, it kind of speaks to something. And especially when we know like the kind of things that Healer likes on social media, all of his fans can run from it as much as they want. And I think, is it okay if we take a quick bathroom break? I just really need to pee.
Yeah, sure.
I'll be back in like a couple of minutes. We can then move on to like another topic. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I can't see any of the comments. Sorry.
Pull up his chat.
Fantasy books.
Wait. Honestly, wait. This is kind of interesting. Wait. We just get to hear her like train of thought. Like, just this might be interesting.
I've been being recommended good books. I usually just read fantasy books.
Oh, she usually just reads fantasy. Telling.
Which is not good. Or I mean, it is good. I like it, but for education purposes, it's not good. So I really recommend Dungeon Crawler Carl for anyone who.
Captain actually knows all the countries too, so he's educated enough to speak on this. Just wait for him to do the map quiz. Who wants me to do the map quiz right now?
Likes to read. That is my favorite, at least up until book 3.
Regarding yesterday's discussion, let me see. Oh, post from Fupa Trupa. In Cairo, Egypt, 1956, Luceto Legnato, the man in the white sharkskin suit, our Muslim friend and neighbors, people we had known for years began to cross the street when they saw us coming. My father would shake his head and murmur, "They are afraid." Baghdad, Iraq, 1948. Naim Katan, Farewell Babylon. Fear was a dominant feature of our new life. Our Muslim friends avoided us. They were afraid of being seen with us. Amsterdam, Netherlands, 1944. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. Father says that people are afraid to help anyone in hiding or to help Jews. Everyone is scared. Germany, 1943. Lily Hahn, Letters from Prison. My dear children, no one writes to me anymore. Why doesn't anyone send me a few words? It's so hard to be completely cut off. Warsaw Ghetto, Poland, 1941 to 1943. Emanuel Ringblom notes from the Warsaw Ghetto. A common sight is a peasant standing in the gateway of a Jewish house and bargaining in a brutal fashion with the emaciated Jewish owner over a piece of furniture. The same peasants who used to be so friendly and amiable in these dealings with Jews have turned to veritable beasts. France, 1941. Joseph Joffo, A Bag of Marbles. The next day at school, no one played with us anymore. The teacher no longer held out his hand for me to shake. It was as if a wall had been built between us and the others. Siget, Transylvania, early 1940s. Elie Wiesel, Night. Those who had shared our table but a few hours before now turn their backs on us. I can't do anything for you. I must avoid being compromised. Vienna, Austria, March 1938. George Clare, Last Waltz in Vienna. The Viennese did not merely accept Nazism, they welcomed it with the fervor and vivaciousness that stunned even the Germans. People who had been polite, friendly for years suddenly showed themselves in their true colors as venomous Jew haters. Essen, Germany, 1936. Marianne Strauss, as quoted in The Gardens of the Righteous, the isolation was complete. We were cut off from all of our former non-Jewish friends and acquaintances. Dresden, Germany, 1935. Victor Klemperer, I will bear witness. Frau Schops was here recently. She said, "We are not allowed to buy from you anymore." And this from a woman who has been a guest in our house countless times. Did you add an ending part? I think we kind of get the idea. It literally, we can go back as far as we want. The first one you have on here is in Judea, 170 to 167 BCE, and the second Maccabees. When the situation became critical, the Gentiles had so much hostility aroused against the Jews that they would not even give them back the courtesy of a greeting. I do think that it's just one of those things where, regardless of what you show, they would just pretend, they would just, like, you know, turn a blind eye to it or argue that Jewish people, well, in the current context, Jewish people are actually, oops, sorry. Go to channel, got that pulled up, my bad. We doing map quiz? Hey, if it's making you guys too upset, I mean, I can tap out too. They're going to talk about it on the show today, so I imagine they're going to go over a lot more than I just went through. But I just kind of wanted to give it a taste and give it my own, like, kind of analysis, because like I said, I do think that the biggest issue that I have with the people who preach a one-state solution is explain to me what that one state looks like, because all you do is keep saying, like, oh, Israel needs to put down its arms and it needs to do, like, show me what the pathway to that actually is, because it just seems it's a very complex issue and there's a lot of ways that we can handle it, and I don't know if just pontificating is getting the job done. So let's go to Cetera. Which one are we doing today? Should I show off that I finally know the US? Here's the thing. You can go back onto my previous streams and see that I'm not cheating. I do not fucking cheat at this. I spend hours dedicating myself, my mind, to try and learn these because it's important. I do not cheat at this shit. I will keep my fucking vision locked on this screen the entire time. Look, I go from here to there. That's the whole screen. There to there. Top to bottom, left to right. If I'm over here, that's me looking at the other monitor. I saw some of you in fucking chat saying that I was cheating. I didn't realize it because I wasn't looking at chat. But what do we think I should do? Should I show off that I know all of the United States now? I also know all of the Mexican states. I don't know if I'm going to get them right first try though. I don't cheat. When does the episode start? I think we still got some time, yeah. I think we got like 1 hour. It says members only. They said they were going live for non-members, right? Wasn't that part of it? Hold up the phone as you're doing it. I'll just go like this the whole time. So you guys can't see. I'll go like this the whole time. I'll put it on my shoulder. That way you know I'm not looking at it. Yeah, for 130. Members only. I need to become a member on this account. I just made this account after my other one. Oh god. Whatever, I'll put my phone over here. Look, I'm throwing it. This is my phone. Now it's over there. It hit the couch and fell on the ground. I'm kind of upset about it, but it's okay. They said maybe for non-members. Maybe they're going to open it once they talk about Madison like last time. That's true, that might be it. That's also a possibility. But where are we starting today? Do I have to win over Evie by showing her that I actually learned the UK cities? Do you want to see that? Will that win you over, Evie? No, don't throw it. You might give your GF a black eye. Don't worry. She's not here right now. It's okay. I don't have to worry about that. She's not. Miskiff, she's gonna jump. She just jumped in the way of my phone. That's what Miskiff's gonna say in court. She jumped in the way of my phone. Okay, let's see if I can do it. So let's go Europe, UK. I can't even find where the UK is on this note. I skipped past it. No. UK cities. Watch this. Watch this.
Leeds.
Leeds. Yes.
Plymouth.
Plymouth is this
Belfast.
one. Belfast is this
Glasgow.
one. Glasgow is this
Manchester.
one. Manchester is this
Portsmouth.
one. Portsmouth
Brighton.
is this one. Brighton is this
Edinburgh.
one. Edinburgh is is this one.
London,
London is this
Nottingham,
one. Nottingham is this
Bristol,
one. Bristol is this
Birmingham,
one. Birmingham is this
Aberdeen,
one. Aberdeen is this
Liverpool.
One. Liverpool is this one. 21 seconds. How'd I do? How'd I do? Maybe they'll move the Cruel World Happy Mind to Friday. That way they can gather clips and maybe invite Lonerbox. He talked about possibly reaching out later. Ooh, interesting. Yes, I studied this. Yes, I studied England. I'm that good. What can I say? I am a learner. Here, I'm going to show the United States now because yesterday's stream, I could not do the United States. It was actually kind of sad. It was kind of disappointing. But I studied. I studied it.
Vermont,
Vermont,
Nevada, New Hampshire, Iowa, Washington, Virginia,
or wait,
New York,
New York,
South Carolina, West Virginia, Florida, Montana, Rhode Island, Michigan.
Oh, fuck, I pressed
North
Massachusetts.
Carolina.
I was going too fast. That was my fault. I know where Michigan is. It's Lake Michigan. Don't fucking... Okay, that was really stupid on my part. How could I not know where Michigan is? That's where AB's from.
New Mexico, Hawaii,
God damn it.
Arizona.
I know more about the UK
Indiana.
than the US. Indiana, I'm going to have to skip for now. Indiana.
Texas, Maryland,
Maryland is
Idaho,
this one. Idaho is
Colorado,
this one. Colorado is
Wyoming, New Jersey,
New Jersey is
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin is... Oh,
Oregon.
I did it again. I clicked too close.
Minnesota,
I'm gonna have to restart this now.
Alabama,
I feel like a true loser. Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana, Delaware,
Alaska.
Alaska.
I got two of the easiest ones. I've been to Wisconsin. I got two of the easiest ones wrong. Michigan and Wisconsin. I've been to Wisconsin. Alaska, Connecticut, Kansas is this
Georgia,
one, square-ish. Georgia is that
Arkansas.
one. Arkansas is this one. Mississippi, Missouri, Arkansas. Massachusetts is that
Kentucky.
one. It's not Michigan. It's Massachusetts. That's why I clicked it because I was clicking too fast. Kentucky, Utah, Ohio, Nebraska is Nebraska is
North
this one.
Dakota,
North Dakota, South
Indiana.
Dakota. Indiana is next to
South
Illinois.
Dakota.
South Dakota is this
Illinois,
one.
Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Missouri, Maine, California, Tennessee, Mississippi.
Shame. I did get shamed. This is Trevor Rainbow in a Captain Quasar costume, guys. Don't be fooled. AB would be so sad, I know, right? Getting Michigan wrong is that's deplorable. Learned how to spell Arkansas through Ethan saying it wrong. Yeah, Arkansas. I'm only getting better. Let's see if I can do. I don't think I can do Mexico. I started thinking about it again. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but I'm going to try. It is excuses, I know. I gotta get better, that's the only thing. Don't worry, one day I'll be at 100% on all of these. Like North America, right? Do I just keep scrolling past it? I do. States, let's see if I can do this. Campeche is this one. Escuadero is that one. Sonora is that one. San Luis, San Luis. I think it's this one, yeah? Durango is that one. This one's the one where I'm going to be a lot slower. I'm going to skip. Mexico City. Fuck, I got to skip this one too. That one. Colima is that one. That one. Oh, wait. It's one of those, but I gotta skip it for now. Baja California Sur is this one. This one. Oh, that's this one. Guerrero's this one. Chihuahua is this one. Jalisco's the one that looks like a bird. Yucatan is up here. That one is that one. Pueblo is that one. Chiapas is this one. Okay, I did get that one right. Veracruz is along the coast. That one. Oh, fuck. That's gonna be my last two, and I know I'm not gonna get them right. Sonora, Baja California, Tabasco. Oh, this is where I'm gonna be caught up. That's the little one. It's these ones. It's between these two, I think. I'm gonna go with this one. No, this one. And that's that. That's that. Got one wrong. I gotta be the very best at this. Do Canada, it's so easy. I haven't studied Canada yet, though. Canada might be more difficult for me. You want to know when I did study? Because I was just doing random ones. I started just going, okay, I need to know everything. I need to become the most knowledgeable person in the world. I learned, where's Japan? Japan cities. Akita, Yokohama,
Hiroshima,
Sindal, Kobe, Kyoto, Kobe. Korea is that one. Oh no, fuck.
Kyoto.
Kyoto is that one. That one's that one. Then that one. Then that. Oh no. That. Wait. That
Tokyo.
one? Oh, it is that one. Okay.
Osaka.
Got a few more wrong on this one, but pretty close. 89%, but it only took me 23 seconds. It only took me 32 seconds. I don't know the like the prefectures or whatever, but I know the cities. All right. Give Canada a try. You might be surprised. Here, let me see. Canada. Where's Canada? Canada cities or provinces and territories? Provinces and territories or city? I guess provinces and territories, maybe.
Ontario.
It's one of these ones, right? Ontario, British Columbia.
Nunavut.
Nunavut. This one I actually don't know. Can I use chat to cheat? Provinces and territories. What about the real challenge? You have to visit all these places? Yeah, that's not happening. I could try. Northwest Territories, Yukon.
Quebec.
I could probably memorize this pretty easily, not gonna lie. Quebec. Oh.
Alberta.
I was like, I know it's along the bottom, but I didn't know where. Where's Alberta?
Newfoundland and Labrador.
Newfoundland.
Northwest Territories.
I know it was one of these that I just clicked.
Prince Edward Island.
Prince Edward Island? Is that this? No. Wait, what's Prince Edward Island? Oh, is it this? Oh, that's Nova Scotia. Prince Edward Island? Is it an actual island? I'm confused. Oh, it is. It's a tiny
Yukon
one. What the
Territory.
hell? The Yukon.
Manitoba.
Manitoba.
New Brunswick.
New Brunswick.
British Columbia.
British Columbia.
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia. Let's try again. Let me look at it for a sec. Nunavut, Manitoba, Yukon, Quebec. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. East Coast super small is Prince Edward Island. Prince Edward Island is the super small one. Newfoundland, Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba. Let's try it again.
New Brunswick.
I already forgot.
Ontario.
I did already forget.
Northwest Territories. Alberta.
Alberta. Gotta skip for now.
Nunavut. Prince Edward Island.
Prince Edward Island. See?
Saskatchewan.
And it's not just trying to figure out the locations. I am also trying to remember them based upon certain things that I've heard. Like, I know all of the, like, I only know that Quebec's down here and, like, Ontario and them are down here purely because of, like, media. Now we're getting,
Nova Scotia.
we're getting into the weeds.
Quebec.
Quebec,
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
Manitoba.
No, British Columbia. No, Alberta. No, it's all wrong.
Newfoundland and Labrador.
No, I'm failing.
Alberta.
This proves I don't have a photographic memory, though, like at all.
Yukon Territory.
It takes true studying.
Saskatchewan. British Columbia.
Okay, one more time. This is literally how I practice, though, is you got to just do it a bunch of times until you can remember. Nunavut before, what a great name. Nunavut.
Quebec.
Quebec.
Alberta.
Alberta is...
Ontario.
Ontario
Nova
is,
Scotia.
Nova Scotia is,
Nunavut.
Nunavut
British
is,
Columbia.
British Columbia is
Manitoba.
there, Manitoba.
New
that
Brunswick.
one, New Brunswick is this
Prince
one,
Edward
Prince Edward
Island. Newfoundland and Labrador. Saskatchewan. Yukon Territory. Northwest Territories.
Done. I will now never forget it. I will now never forget where they are. See, but here's what you also have to do. You have to do it twice in a row to prove that it wasn't a coinkydink.
Saskatchewan.
Oh no.
Alberta.
Alberta.
Newfoundland and Labrador. New Brunswick. Yukon Territory. Ontario. Nova Scotia. Northwest Territories. British Columbia. Prince Edward Island. Nunavut. Quebec. Manitoba.
20 seconds. Oh, I'm an honorary Canadian now. Yay! A? Yay, A? We have any more requests of what I should do? Should I try and do Africa? Can anybody wonder about this? I think we're just going to end up going back to the video, I've got to be honest. I think I showed off all the ones I know. Oh, I'll show the one other one that I learned. I don't know if I'm going to get it right. This was when I was studying. Not that long ago. I think it was Germany cities? Or no, not cities, not cities. Germany states. Oh yeah, states Bundesländer. Brandenburg is this one. Lower Saxon is that. Rhine is fuck. Oh no, that one's fucking that. I knew I got it wrong. I knew it. It's that one. And that's Hesse, Hamburg, Bremen. North, that one. Meckel is that one. Saarland is that one. Saxony, Thurberg. Oh, Berlin. Why did I forgot Berlin was open? I just saw the B. Way off. One more time. One more time. Got to prove myself. Rhineland, Northwest, Bulgaria, Berlin, Hesse, Mac, that one. Lower Saxon, Bavaria, Saxony. Oh, god damn it! I did it again. Hamburg and Brandenburg. I keep forgetting the small ones are there, and I'm clicking too quick. Bavaria, Saxony, Saarland. Berlin is up, or no, Berlin is over here. Saxony is that one. Hamburg is the little one. Rhineland is that one. That one. Brandenburg. Bavaria, Hesse, North. Top, Lower Saxony. Bundesländer. Gotta do them. Gotta learn all the moons of Jupiter next. Try counties of Indiana. My God. I don't, that would just take way too long, I think. How many counties are in a single state? I feel like. See, we're going to go through all of my normal ones, though. You gotta keep practicing on the ones you think you know. That way you stay on top of your game. We're doing Asia.
Iraq. Tajikistan. Maldives. Mongolia. Syria. Uzbekistan. Bahrain. Brunei. China. Armenia. Iran. Taiwan. United Arab Emirates. Russia. Philippines. Laos. Vietnam. Myanmar. Indonesia. Jordan. Kuwait. Bangladesh. South Korea. Azerbaijan. India. Israel.
My stomach is growling so
Afghanistan.
hard right now. Oh, that's Pakistan.
Cambodia.
Clicked the wrong one. God damn it. Always. I always click one wrong.
Qatar.
Cambodia.
Singapore. Bhutan.
You got to be decisive.
East Timor.
East Timor.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
Turkey. Nepal. Georgia.
See, I honestly feel less bad about getting something like clicking on Pakistan, because like you really think I don't know where Pakistan is?
North Korea.
Clearly a misclick.
Kyrgyzstan. Japan. Malaysia.
Oh, I keep doing that. I keep pressing.
Sri Lanka.
That one I do keep messing up. Thailand and Malaysia I keep mixing up, and it's because it like follows the line down. I need to remember that.
Oman. Turkmenistan.
Turkmenistan.
Pakistan. Kazakhstan. Thailand.
Thailand.
Yemen.
And Yemen.
Lebanon.
And Lebanon. One more time. Yeah, Tajikistan.
Bhutan.
Do roads in the countries. I need to learn everything. I could go anybody in any place. I will be like a traffic reporter. Be like, oh, well, if you want the back roads, you got to go around this way. Sorry, I need to do it one more time. We need 100%.
Malaysia.
We need 100% on this one because I've done it so many times.
Laos. Sri Lanka.
I need at least one
United
100%.
Arab Emirates.
UAE is the bigger one.
Qatar.
Qatar. Smaller one's Qatar.
Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan's
Myanmar.
Myanmar.
Indonesia.
Indonesia's
Pakistan.
Pakistan is that one
Kazakhstan.
again? Kazakhstan.
Saudi
Oh,
Arabia.
is
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan.
Japan.
Is that one. Japan is
Yemen.
that. Yemen is
Israel.
Israel is.
Syria.
Syria is.
Oman.
is,
Armenia.
Armenia is.
Vietnam.
Vietnam is.
Cambodia.
Cambodia is.
Turkmenistan.
Turkmenistan is. Or Turkmenistan, Tajikistan. Another one? So it's
Thailand. Russia. Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan, that's it. That one's Kyrgyzstan. That makes that Tajikistan.
South Korea.
South
Bangladesh.
Korea, Bangladesh.
Bahrain.
Bahrain. Ooh, let's click the wrong one.
East Timor.
East Timor.
Taiwan.
Taiwan. Ooh,
Maldives.
Maldives.
Philippines.
Philippines.
Jordan.
Jordan.
Mongolia.
Mongolia.
Georgia.
Georgia.
Lebanon.
Lebanon.
Brunei.
Sorry, my brain started misfiring because I was going too quick again. I caught up.
Tajikistan. Singapore. North Korea. Kuwait.
Wait, little one.
Afghanistan. Turkey.
Turkey.
China. Iraq.
Iraq.
India. Iran. Nepal.
Done. Minute 49. Fell asleep listening, got sleep paralysis, and all I could hear while trying to move and wake up was country names and mumbling. I'm sorry, Lester. At least you're becoming more knowledgeable, right? Yeah, if it was the Chris and Madison convo, you might have been more upset, I gotta be honest. There's a KFC in Yemen? What? And gotta do Africa. Africa, I think, is becoming my best one. I have to be honest.
Tunisia.
As I get the first one wrong.
Togo. Republic of the Congo. Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast.
Equatorial Guinea.
Equatorial Guinea. I'm getting all the hard ones first.
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia.
Zambia.
Zambia, yes.
Somalia. Comoros.
Comoros Islands.
Sudan.
Sudan.
Djibouti.
I'm gonna just stand like, I'm gonna sit like this
Lesotho.
while I do it. Really locked in.
Senegal.
Senegal.
Chad.
Chad.
Nigeria. Gambia.
Gambia.
South Sudan. Uganda.
How does
Mauritania.
Mauritania? Because that's Mauritius, Mauritania, Mali,
Mozambique. Guinea.
Guinea,
Benin.
Benin,
Ghana.
Ghana,
Angola.
Angola,
Niger.
Niger,
Rwanda.
Rwanda,
Liberia.
Liberia,
South Africa.
South Africa,
Libya.
Libya,
Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone,
Burundi.
Burundi,
Algeria.
Algeria,
Mali, Guinea-Bissau.
Guinea-Bissau,
Western Sahara.
Western Sahara,
Sao Tome and Principe. Cape Verde. Madagascar.
Madagascar, what am I doing?
Burkina Faso.
Again.
Central African Republic. Morocco. Mauritius.
It's like my brain catches up with me and I end
Namibia.
up going slower.
Zimbabwe. Kenya.
Kenya.
Democratic Republic of the Congo. Botswana. Tanzania. Eritrea. Cameroon. Eswatini. Gabon.
Oop.
Malawi.
100%. My brother is Maori and I'm Tanzania, so that's our country. Oh, Mauritania. So true. Oh, pull up the meme Scrub made? Totally. I got to. One sec. I do love that song too. Maybe this is where it all started for me. Hope that's not the wrong. Too cool. Sorry, one sec. I had to download it. Where'd it just download to? I just tried to download it and it like... Okay, I guess I could just show it like this. There, that shouldn't be doxing anything. That should block out just about everything on there. Yep. Quasar knows countries, do you? There's United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama. Fuck. That's how it starts, right, though? There's United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, something in Peru, the Dominican. I love that song. Damn, we got a country in chat? We got a whole country in chat. That's crazy. No, I do not know countries. Djibouti? Yeah, Djibouti's right there. You guys got to learn. Honestly, I was able to just lock in on it. That's all I did. I just sat here for like a good hour doing different ones. And then I would like leave it. I'd be like, okay, I finished Africa, got 100%. I'd leave it, go through like a cycle of them, and then I'd come back and do Africa again to make sure that I actually remembered it. Now she's out in the atmosphere, drops Jupiter in her hair, yeah. Smells like glitter, not like rain. That's a pretty good song. Is that by Train? I was trying to remember. Yeah, it's Train. Just having the name be Train is so funny. Should I sing another song? Or should we go back to whatever the fuck Cruel World Happy Mind is saying? Dude, poll. Gonna put up a new poll soon. Or wait. I guess it's a members app, but I can still put the poll up. It's supposed to start at 12:30 or 1:30. It's supposed to start in 30 minutes, yeah, or 20 minutes, yeah? So I can still make it the same. You hate Train? Why? Train, question mark, yes or no? That's the new poll. Okay, throwing up the poll right now. And I actually didn't even close the lyrics yet. How late will the H3 show start today? Perfect. On time, early. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Train over what? Wait. Wait, what can refute? Wait, what can replace Shock, Shock, Shock? I kind of don't like the Shock, Shock, Shock song, I gotta be honest. We have been very musical lately. Now that she's back in the atmosphere with drops of Jupiter in her hair. She acts like summer and she walks like rain. Reminds that there's no time to change. It reminds me that there's time to change. Hey, hey. Oh, sorry. I was reading these lyrics and that almost didn't make sense to me, but it's because he's trying to meet the rhythmic pattern. It threw me off. Oh, I love the shock song. Oh, you love the shock song. In My Stream. The In My Stream one is really good. Drops of Jupiter could replace Shock, Shock, Shock. Since the return of her stay on the moon, she listens like spring and she talks like June. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, 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 yeah. But tell me, did you sail across the sun? Did you make it to the Milky Way to see the lights all faded and that heaven is overrated? Tell me, did you fall from a shooting star? One without a permanent scar? And did you miss me while you were looking for yourself out there? That chorus hits me every time. Cabin, you were having so much fun on stream lately, lol. Well, maybe you said that I want to go too quickly, Alex. I gotta start having fun. No, yeah, see, Alex really does have some pipes. Alex, we need to start a cover band. Let's start a cover band, but what we do is we do it like a barbershop quartet, but we're a barbershop duet. So just the two of us. I'll hit the doo-wops. Doo-wop. Do-do-do-do-do-do-wop. Shabba-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-wop. Shabba-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-wop. And then you can hit those. Yeah, yeah, whoa. You can like hit like the higher notes or whatever, you know? Any other requests? Any other song requests? Anything else? You know, that's what I should start doing instead of the music streams, just singing streams where I just do covers of the songs that I've been listening to. There was actually a new song. I'm gonna do another music stream next week for sure. Maybe I'll do it this weekend. Who knows? But I'm gonna do another music stream. There was a song I found recently, and it's starting to blow up actually, and the artists are pretty good. Your doo-wops are really good. That sounds really funny. We could do it. We'll be the barbershop duet. Hoobastank the Reason. Oh, I love that one. Who doesn't love a little Hoobastank? That one's actually been on my playlist recently. Okay, give me a second. I need to get into it. I'm honestly forgetting how the song goes. I literally just said it's in my playlist. Like, I've definitely listened to it recently. Just looking at the lyrics, though, I'm like, this doesn't look right. Here, let me silence for a second, and let me just play the beginning, make sure I have the melody right. You know what I realized? I was listening to The Reason, and there was another Hoobastank song that I realized I didn't realize I knew. There we go. Sorry, I remembered now. Who be stankin'? See, it just doesn't work without the like dun 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 dun. But it's fine. I'm not a perfect person. There's many things I wish I didn't do, but I continue learning. I never meant to do those things to you. And so I have to say before I go, I can't go that high, that I just want you to know I found a reason for me. I can't do it, see? I just can't go that high. I need to start lower maybe. Oh no, I'm embarrassed now. I can't sing. My vocal abilities have been exposed. Should I just continue? Should I start from the top? You all just singing it in chat. Here, okay, once again, everybody, from the top. I gotta just start a little bit lower, that way my high end isn't as bad. So there we go. I'm not a perfect person. There's many things I wish I didn't do. But I continue learning. I never meant to do those things to you. And so I have to say before I go. This song is really led by the music. I'm sorry, I can't. I just can't. This doesn't work with acapella. It really doesn't. It doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. Create another request or I'm punishing you with Madison again. Already, a 5, 6, 7, 6. It's not quite my tempo. I know I'm a little off. I'm off on the key. My key's off. My key was off. My tempo was off. It was a little bad there. Sorry, guys. Here, I'll do some Frank Sinatra instead. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, please be true. In other words, baby, kiss me. In other words, I don't remember what the lyrics are. I think I messed up a part, and it's please be true right there. Please be true. In other words, I love you. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, baby, kiss me. In other words, hold my hand. I did it my way. Here, do it my way now. I'll just do half of every song that I start singing. Cut off at a random part where I feel done, and then I'll restart. And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full, I've traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do, and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Anytime I hear My Way, I think of the little mouse and sing. LMFAO, so true. I think of the Dragon Ball Z abridged version. Who sings it in that version? Was it Vegeta? And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. Oh god. I forgot I threw my phone over there. It's still over there. Honestly, crooners are some of my favorite type of music. One of my favorite is Orange Color Sky, performed by Nat King Cole. Oh, it was Perfect Cell? Perfect Cell singing my... I used to watch the abridged stuff. See, I liked One Piece abridged, but I did watch Dragon Ball Z abridged. I don't remember that at all though. I don't remember that part at all. That's so funny. I will always share some of my old cover song videos. Oh, I will probably share some of my old cover song videos on my next stream to celebrate 1,000 subs. Hell yeah, Madman. That sounds awesome. But here's my favorite crooner song. My favorite song by Nat King Cole. My goat. It's called Orange Colored Sky. Performed by Cap'n Quasar. Budding. I was walking along, minding my business, when out of an orange-colored sky, flash, bam, alakazam, wonderful you came by. I was humming a tune, drinking in sunshine, when out of that orange-colored view, wham, bam, alakazam, I got a look at wonderful you. One look and I yelled, timber, watch out for flying glass. 'Cause the ceiling fell in and the bottom fell out. I went into a spin and I started to shout, I've been hit. This is it, I say it. I was walking along, minding my business, when love came and hit me in the eye. A flash, bam, alakazam, out of an orange-colored sky. And then it goes through like a thing. It goes through like a little bit of a... I was walking along, minding my business, when love came and hit me in the eye. Flash, bam, alakazam, out of an orange-colored, purple-striped, pretty green polka dot sky. Flash, bam, alakazam, and goodbye. We love some Nat King Cole, don't we, folks? My mother is Italian American in New Jersey, so I've listened to a lot of Sinatra in my life. The Rat Pack, we love the Rat Pack. We talk about Deanie Boy, we talk about Frankie. Am I in Fallout right now? We're talking about the old, we're in Fallout, we're talking about the Kings, we're talking about the Kings in New Vegas. Oh, love came and hit me in the eye. So true. Love did come and hit me in the eye. That bastard. Do both both parts of the Unforgettable Duet. Does it go back and forth? The Nat King Cole and Natalie Cole version? I think I've only heard Unforgettable from Nat King Cole. I don't think I've heard the collaboration version. Unforgettable, that's what you are. Unforgettable, though near or far. Like a song of love that clings to me, how the thoughts of you goes things to me. Never before has someone been more. Wait. Oh wait, this is different. Oh wait, I don't think I know this one actually. Or wait, no, I am thinking of it wrong. I'm just thinking of the lyrics wrong. I think I'm thinking of towards the outro. Whatever. I'm no crooner. That was actually one of my goals in life when I was young. I thought maybe I could be a crooner. But then I realized, who the fuck's crooning in modern day? Except for Richard Cheese. Richard Cheese is my favorite crooner. Do we know about Dick Cheese? The crooner Richard Cheese. He does songs like Nookie, Thong Song, 99 Luff Balloons. He did I can't play any of them. Maybe I'll play them next time. I really do like his renditions. Lounge Against the Machine. We got Modern Lounge, I guess. It's just not as popular. You forgot about Richard Cheese? Richard Cheese is the GOAT. I don't even like musicals, but I love the H3 Galaxy musical. You know, I'm actually a fan of musicals, believe it or not. Musicals are, it depends. It depends on the musical, I will say. I liked the, what was it called? The one that Fat Mike made. Fat Mike from NoFX musical. What was it called? It was a punk rock musical. Home Street Home. That was it. Home Street Home is a pretty good musical. It's like a punk rock musical. Honestly, the story's alright. The story's kind of meh. But the music's good. We need an H3 network immediately. Phantom of the Opera. Musical tier list. Where would you put Cats? I think Cats definitely goes towards the bottom, right? I guess it depends. If you're talking about like the Broadway musical, it's not as bad. If we're talking about the movie, that is a fucking Z tier. That is the bottom. Well, if any old H3 fans are in here, one of the original concepts that Ethan had for the H3 podcast was to have it turned into like a network, like where they could have other podcasts under the network. And I think they realized that kind of like the FUPA Fund, that would be a huge undertaking. So yeah. Oh, Book of Mormon is an amazing musical. That's so true. Should we get back? Should we get back to what she has to say?
The kitties are sleeping, and it's a gloomy day. Obviously, I also, obviously, as if it's known, common knowledge, but I also recommend Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. So that's a good book. I'm pretending like I can read the comments, but I can't.
Did she? It's Octavia Butler. Did she say Olivia Butler? It's Octavia Butler. But okay, it's another speculative fiction novel. She just reads like speculative fiction. Like she just seems like she was like a fiction. She was a fan of fiction writing.
No, this isn't breaker. I'm just talking to myself. If anyone can see this.
Don't play with little doodads on your desk. Here, now I am too. Look at my crystal dice. Look at all my crystals that I have. I got crystal. I honestly don't know what these ones are.
Right, hello, sorry, I am back.
Okay, I have no idea. Was that streaming the whole time? I don't know.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. I wasn't sure if I was talking to myself or if I was talking to people.
No, I don't have a break screen or anything. Like I'm not a good enough streamer, so but yeah, I think I can't remember specifically what we were talking about, but I think one of the things you asked, right, was like about how like where you went wrong talking about Palestine, right? Or like criticizing, I think actually like criticizing Ethan about Palestine, right?
Oh, are we still on me? I honestly forgot I switched to me. I've got to be completely honest. Do you really want to see her though? What's there to see? She's not doing anything interesting. Just look at me instead.
Yeah, totally.
And I think what the issue is that I've said this, especially since October the 7th, one of the things that people have started to see more of a problem
my favorite author, George Oswell.
with is liberal Zionism. Now, before October the 7th, more people...
Which isn't, didn't Ela call herself a liberal Israeli or
a left-wing...
Sorry, I didn't even, you guys didn't even get to see what she was doing. She was playing with some little thing on her desk. See? That was all that's why I started pulling stuff up. Oh, I didn't even show the best one.
I've said this, especially since October the 7th, one of the things that people have started to see more of a problem with is liberal Zionism. Now, before October the 7th, more people...
Which isn't, didn't Ela call herself a liberal Israeli or
a left-wing Israeli, which is a bit of a misnomer. It doesn't really make sense because the left...
Ah, she has a cute cat. You're bringing your cat cap, and he's eating right now, but then I'll grab him, make him throw up after eating. You can probably hear him. No, I don't think.
wing of Israeli politics, the most left-wing Israeli
He's still
politician.
pretty right-wing, right?
Well, his name is, I mean, right now, yes, the most left-wing and the most, like, two-state solution you get in an Israeli is a guy who I believe is called Yair Golan. And Yair Golan believes that Palestinians should have a state, but that Israel should have the right to have full military control over it, and they should have the right to go into that state to arrest whoever they want, which would basically mean a perpetuation of the current situation with some basic autonomy given to Palestinians. And once again, it would still retain the structure of Israeli dominance. But, and also actually, the other one I was going to say is
what does this have to do with Ethan and Eli again? We can, like, get back to that.
Most famous person, Israeli peacemaker who signed the Accords, who's often cited as like Israelis wanted peace. Yitzhak Rabin said instantaneously after signing the Oslo Accords, he said, I want the Palestinians to have less than a state. He also famously commanded his troops to break the bones of Palestinians who were protesting because he couldn't crack down on the Intifada, the uprising, the first one, and because Palestinians engaged in non-violent resistance, his decision was to say, okay, you're going to, do this. But right, so the problem with liberal Zionism, and what people have become more aware of, is this fact, that there is no liberal Zionism, that Zionism, at its very core and fabric, is a racist, supremacist ideology, and that we as human beings, if we oppose anti-Semitism, if we oppose any kind of bigotry and problematic treatment of human beings, must be against that. There's a reason that Zionism was declared racism in the UN. They now claim, oh no, this was actually because the Soviet Union did it. And it's like, is that a bad thing? If the Soviet Union's doing that, you're making the Soviet Union sound pretty damn cool,
yeah.
that they were able to get the nations together. But the other reason was that was also part of the UN and Palestinian shared causes. But you can literally look at who Israel was allied with. Israel held a strong relationship with apartheid South Africa. It held relationships with dictators and warlords anywhere that it could find them. And it still does to this day, if they fit with Israel's goals. And
he's like limping my hand. You tired? What's up? You gonna go or are you gonna lay down? You can go. Sometimes he lays in my lap and it's like he thinks that I'm forcing him to be here, and then he'll start getting angry and I'm like, bro, you can either come here or you can go. I'm not like forcing you to stay. Come on, you can go. Don't be all grumpy. Why are you being a grump? Being a grumpy pants. Hey, come here. What's up? Okay? Okay. Go lay down. Go do what you're gonna do.
there's this idea, that it's this liberal paradise trying to make the Middle East better. It's bullshit. But anyway.
His name is Kolunga. It's a Viking name. It's usually a surname, I'm pretty sure. It's actually the origin of the last name Collins, if I'm not mistaken. Kolunga, we call him Koli for short, Koli. He's a good boy.
Where the problem lies with what Israel is this, that it's racist, that it is wrong to practice apartheid. That Ethan will say, well, Israel's doing apartheid, but then be like, and this is the thing that I mentioned that he apologized for, and how his fans are still buying this thing of how they still buy this thing of well, everyone's just anti-Semitic. He himself had to go onto TikTok to what he called improve his reputation, to rehabilitate himself, because he was hemorrhaging fans, because his show's expensive to make, his lifestyle's expensive to maintain, and hemorrhaging that many fans consistently can't be good for that. And so he went on and he was like, I'm going to fix my reputation. And he said, the way I said about Israel and going to visit there during a genocide was inappropriate. He said, Israel is not this racist Jim Crow society. That's weird that you're saying that this apartheid state that you have...
Voids love to yap. Tell me about it. Bro wakes up at 3 a.m. every morning and just starts... Meow, meow, hello, hello. That's how they always sound, like he's going, hello, hello. But just over and over again. Hello, hello. He's looking at me now because he knows I'm talking about him. Yeah, you do that.
Apparently condemned for committing genocide is not a racist Jim Crow society like people like Hassan say it is. That's a very weird thing to say. That shows that you have a love and an appreciation for a state that is a racist apartheid state. And that's the problem. If you don't abandon Zionism, then what can you offer? What can you offer to a movement that is saying, we don't want racism in this world? If you think that there is something right about Israel, a nation that Ethan himself, during his debate with Hassan, you can all look this up, all of his little fans who see this, you can look this up. Ethan said, yeah, I don't really agree with the founding of the state of Israel, or oh, the founding, no, there are many things to criticize, or something to this effect about the founding of the state of Israel, after Hassan said Israel's premised on displacement and all of these things. But then to just go on and say, well, it's this beautiful multicultural state that you want to take your...
Both of those things can be true at once. That is literally like what the point is of America. Like that is like what we think about America. America was found on destruction and death and fucking murder and pillaging. That is what America's foundations on. Slavery. That is like what we're built on. But that doesn't mean that we are going to hate our country and we want it to be something better. We want it to be greater. And to be fair, like I said before, we had the original Constitution. It's been amended, and like they say in the preamble of the Constitution, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. We're still trying. We're trying to make it work. We're trying to figure it out. We're slowly working towards something better. It's almost like a lot can happen in 80 to 100 years. Yeah, give it 100 more, and then we can forget about it, right?
Your kids to, that you want to create content to show the people around you that it's multicultural. As you say, it perpetrates a genocide, and then you just blame its government. And this is actually the other thing. I've seen a message where you said I couldn't find clips of him condemning Netanyahu.
You just blame it's what?
Netanyahu, right? The thing is he has the clips of him condemning Netanyahu. He has the clips of him saying things, but he doesn't reckon with what that means. Netanyahu keeps on winning. Like, he keeps on being able to form coalitions. Netanyahu is not, like, massively unpopular. I'm sorry. He has had massive protests against him, but the protests were about hostages, and they were also about, but prior to that, they were not about his treatment of Palestinians. They were about his sort of plan to reform the judiciary and move it more towards a state that is governed by halakha, which is Jewish religious law. This is what...
That would be what you would be in opposition of. Like I was saying, my, like, kind of perspective, I think, is a branch off of, like, the Balad perspective, which is, like, the Palestinian nationalistic left-wing party in Israel. And they believe in a two-state solution. I mean, even the far right believe in, like, a two-state solution on some degree. But they believe in a two-state solution that is secular, creating that secular state. And I think that is probably the most important aspect, regardless of what the ethnic majority is. That like the ethnic makeup matters very much less to the ultra nationalistic, ethnocentric governmental policies. So that's like that's the crux of the argument there.
The people around Netanyahu want to institute for Palestinians. It's what for Jewish people in Israel. It's like a contentious point.
What the fuck is he arguing? So he does condemn Bibi, but that's not enough now. I mean, he's basically saying that the little tiny stuff that he doesn't say, the things that he almost says or doesn't say or whatever, somehow matter more than him having been in Israel voting against Benjamin Netanyahu. I guess that's kind of the point.
It's problematic, but it also goes to the fabric of what Israel is as a Jewish state. So this idea that Netanyahu, we can just condemn him and everything goes away,
we're good.
is the problem. And there's another one where he goes...
That's not what the fucking idea is, bro. The whole thing is about his cabinet. It's about the governmental structure. Like I was saying, maybe we do need a whole reformation of the Knesset and the like, you know, all the like the judicial system and all that too. Like, maybe we do need like a full reformation of the whole thing. But again, how do we get there? What are the steps that we take to get there? Because all you're fucking saying is, well, just denouncing Netanyahu doesn't work. What works then? Give an actual like argument. Come on, something.
There are other content creators. There's a guy called James Ray who called this out amongst Democrat influencer content creators who said the word genocide and believed that was it, that you washed your hands, that you go back to normal and you go back to supporting it. You believe that right now Israel is perpetrating the crime of all crimes, a crime against humanity, so despicable, and yet you say, well, I want to take my kids there and show you guys that it's not this racist state.
We're talking again about Israel proper versus greater Israel, which includes the West Bank and Gaza. If you were to go to Gaza or go to the West Bank, yeah, that would be fucking despicable and evil to try and lie and make it out to seem like something that it's not. But you are also acting ridiculous if you are going to act under the presumption that the people within Israel proper are living in some kind of like segregationist society. Because that is the presentation that you are putting forward. And you can act like, no, it's not what I'm saying. That is the only like I don't understand what you're saying. You're basically saying he should denounce Israel, every person there, everything to do with it. Like, to what end? If you are saying, because I want to know what your solution is. Is your solution just the full dissolvement of Israel? And then what? You just move them out into other places to like it just doesn't make any sense. You've literally made no sense, because that ultra-nationalistic, Zionistic sentiment that you believe in, that you believe exists, isn't going to go away by dispersing them out into other areas. Like, if anything, it will only codify those beliefs into, just create like individual, like little groups that feel this way. Like, I just don't get what the point is. Or if you are one of those people who believes in just pulling down the borders and just letting everybody living united, that's fine too. That's something to hope for. But again, how do we get there? Because that's just not going to happen. And if you think that on both sides that there are going to be Palestinians that don't feel like they're going to take their anger out on Israelis, and you don't think there are Israelis that think bad stuff about Palestinians and want to do bad stuff to them, like, in both regards, that would just be stupid. So I need to know what the actual solution is. Like, where are we going? What do we get into?
The two don't align. The two don't go together. And if you've apologized for it, you think that would be a moment where you took...
Yeah, arguing about podcasters is what works, my dude. LMAO. So true. Keep arguing about Ethan Klein and it'll keep... I mean, to be fair, it didn't even do him that good. Maybe it's because he didn't put him in the title.
Took time to reflect on, hey, maybe this isn't an anti-Semitic campaign, and maybe a time where you said to your audience, well, actually, guys, I'm apologizing for this. And there's a reason it was done on TikTok where not much of his audience is at, and where you're not, because it's giving ground to something that you have maintained comes from hatred. People have watched a live stream genocide. They have seen it. They know the inner workings of it that people didn't have access to with what happened during the Holocaust. Maybe people wouldn't have felt, actually, you know what, it probably would have been similar. There would have been people who were actually like, well, Jews cause problems in our society, so, I don't care about that, and, who cares about the...
There was. What? You do know that after the Holocaust, they were banned from America and a lot of European countries. A lot of countries banned Jewish people and said, no, we're not going to take these refugees. That's why Israel was created in the first place. I thought you were fucking Middle Eastern, like fucking... I thought you studied this shit. What does he mean, perhaps? Maybe. It's possible. That's literally what did happen.
They're bad anyway, which there are some people, but then most people would be like, fuck me, I feel atrocious about this. This is an unbelievable thing. And so when you are claiming that people target you for anti-Semitic things, but you yourself are apologizing for saying that you wanted to make content around Israel and it being a beautiful, multicultural...
And again, this is like the dumbest argument. Oh, what about the Holocaust? If somebody wanted to talk about Germany, again, I brought this up so many times. What happened to Germany after World War II? What happened to Germany after the destruction of the Nazis? What happened? Did they dissolve Germany? Did they go back to different Germanic, like the Saxons and all the different groups? Did they go back to that kind of rule? No, they kept German. They kept Germany. They kept the German people. But they dissolved the government and reinstituted something better. They fixed it. It is the biggest, I'm sorry, but it is like the smoothest brain thing you can say if you bring up the Holocaust when talking about Israel, if your solution is the destruction of Israel. We didn't destroy Germany. There wasn't an issue with, the people in, obviously there were certain things, the Nazi youth and certain things like that, where they were being taught this stuff, being bred into this ideology, in a sense. But it wouldn't be the same as saying that Germany is a disgusting place. Germany, the Germans, because there were people that took the refugees and took people in and took people into hiding, and it's talking about everything as monolithic is what causes these schisms, these issues. Yeah, the U.S. St. Louis, filled with Jewish refugees, was turned away from Canada, U.S., Cuba. It's just... Yeah, do you think people automatically assume all Germans today are Nazis? No, exactly. It's like nobody thinks that.
Place. That's crazy. That is crazy. And I think that this is how I would say where you went wrong, specifically on the case of criticizing Ethan. Netanyahu doesn't matter. Netanyahu is bad, but he's just one figurehead of Israel. Palestinians are regularly chastised for electing Hamas. Israelis elected Ariel Sharon. Ariel Sharon was the architect of the siege of Beirut in 1982. The siege of Beirut was so bad that Ronald Reagan called Menachem Begin and told...
Wait.
One figurehead of Israel. Palestinians are regularly chastised for electing Hamas.
By who? By Ethan and Hila? Ethan and Hila do that? I haven't seen that happen. Because I wouldn't say that. I understand that Hamas has been elected into power. Hamas was put into power because of the constraint that was put by Israel on the PLO and on these different I understand that context. That changes literally nothing about my stance. I don't think that the Palestinians are bad people for electing Hamas, but that does not mean in turn that I think that Hamas should stay in power. That makes no sense. In the same way that I'm upset that Germany ever had Hitler come into power. But would I just blame the Germans for electing, I forget who it was that made Hitler chancellor? Who was the leader at the time? I forget. I haven't done German history in too long. Yeah, Paul von Hindenburg made Adolf Hitler chancellor, a decision influenced by conservative politicians like Franz von Papen, who believed that they could control Hitler. Oh, what do you know? Yeah, being pro-Palestine is not the same as anti-Israel, and that's the thing I think these people need to understand. Because he literally earlier in this conversation pointed out that people were calling him in support of Israel for not wanting to go into anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish stereotype, like fucking conspiracy theories. He was saying that that's ridiculous that people would want to do that, but then is also just being like, well, it makes sense. You don't understand. What do you mean? I need to make clips of this. I'm spitting. Maybe I will. I need to make like some shorts or something of it, probably. It's just legitimately so ridiculous. Everything that he's saying is just, like I said, it's the same with Elon Pape. The facts of the history, the historicity of the statements, factual. It's the framing and the ways in which you want to speak about this information that is priming the audience to believe a certain aspect, believe a certain viewpoint. And that is propaganda. That is being an ideologue.
Israelis elected Ariel Sharon. Ariel Sharon was the architect of the siege of Beirut in 1982. The siege of Beirut was so bad that Ronald Reagan called Menachem Begin and told him that he was perpetrating a Holocaust. Menachem Begin was the Israeli prime minister. He said, the symbol of your war is becoming a 10-month-old baby with its arms blown off because of the images that were starting to flood Western media about what was being done to Beirut. This man was the architect of that. It is a grander crime than October the 7th. It destroyed Beirut. It destroyed the lives of thousands of people. But he didn't stop there. This Ariel Sharon guy was found culpable for doing this. After they had trained these...
Whoa. I can't keep doing this. Starting at 1:30, was supposed to start 17 minutes ago. It went live for public, but it says episode 9045. I don't think that's right. We on ep 9000? 9045. Interesting. Episode 8000. Episode. What would it be? Yeah, that's right. Episode 8085. Crazy. Right? Oh no. God damn it. 80,085. Sorry, I knew I was one off. I was like, I can't remember what fucking 80,085. Episode 80,085.
Christian fascists who...
No, that's right. I just missed a few episodes. Damn true. I'm behind. God damn it. I need to catch up.
Inspired by the Nazis, they brought him over. He brought them to the Sabra and Shatila refugee camps. They killed potentially up to 3,500 Palestinians in a singular day. The crimes that they committed are so significant that they provoked major protests inside Israel because of the culpability of what these people have done. Ariel Sharon then went on to be elected. Now you hear from people that if Hamas go, then the problem is fine. How can it be? Yeah,
and those people are stupid. Yeah, that's dumb. I thought that Trump's plan was absolutely ridiculous because I thought it was the start of a decent plan for a ceasefire, and the reason it fucking fell through is precisely for that reason, that it wanted to dismantle Hamas while leaving Israel in its current standing, and that is dumb. But again, you're talking about what right-wing people want. Let's talk about Ethan and Hila. Can we at any point in this?
In Israel, what do you say in Israel, where it's not just been Netanyahu, where it's not just been...
Shout out Maxim. Hey, new viewer here. Thanks for doing this. You got my sub. I really appreciate it. Thanks for stopping in.
Ariel Sharon, where it's not just been Menachem Begin, where it's not just been these fringe individuals, that for decades, a society that has reached the point of such racism that it does not massively protest against what is happening to other human beings on the basis of what they're saying. How can you not say, we are really at a dangerous point? This is not a beautiful and multicultural society. And I know that this is a really long and contrived...
Well, and also it's like, are you saying that you want Hamas to stay in power? Because I understand, like I said, that just getting rid of Hamas isn't going to be like the end all, like, for everything. It's going to... What would last if you got rid of Hamas would Israel's expansionist goals. They would have, it wouldn't change a whole lot and would just cause some other insurgents to start later. But that, again, doesn't mean that I think that Hamas should stay in power. Like, that's just plain and simple. The people in Gaza protest against Hamas. They've been protesting. They had protested like a lot. And you want to talk about how, actually, are you going to say that those were fake too? Because you're like, well, actually, the protests where they were doing against Bibi Netanyahu weren't because of Palestine. Like, come on, man. Every single protest that's done.
answer. But what the core of what I'm saying is that it's not one individual. And condemning Netanyahu is actually just a get out of jail free card. And it doesn't examine that there's an appeal to this. It's much in the same way that many racists and bigots say, well, I condemn the Nazis, so how dare you say that I have any similarity with them? How dare you say that? When it's actually like, well, you preach an ideology which justifies slaughtering other human beings. Do you not?
Yeah, Israeli protests to end Gaza war. Where is this? Yeah, protest in Tel Aviv. Israeli protests to end Gaza war as anger over fate of captives boils over. And it says that Israeli police make dozens of arrests, use water cannons on protesters who gathered for a nationwide demonstration. So, but they never protest Bibi. They never protest against what's going on in Gaza, ever.
Not see that kind of racism is the problem. Not just one specific evil group of people who did evil things. They had a racist politics that appealed to people, that allowed some of the most horrifying things to happen, that German society liked. There's a speech as... Sorry, this is a bit of a tangent.
By the way, this guy is saying Ethan never apologized for saying, I'll show you the real Israel, but he did. He apologized for saying that at such a sensitive time. Well, yeah, and I think that that's another part that she goes... She hasn't really brought up. She says, I didn't do enough research. Oh, show me the clips of Ethan apologizing. Did you watch his TikToks? Because he's been back on TikTok and doing apologies, talking about different things that he's spoken on before, correcting himself. Did you do any research into that, or are you just kind of going off the cuff again?
There's a speech. It's called the Total War speech, and it's like a German hall, clapping and shouting and screaming. As I think Goebbels says, we're going to have total war. Your lives are going to get worse. We're going to go into this apocalyptic final stand. It's clear that there are these societal issues, and I think we have to examine where those come from. And in the case of the Palestinians, it's dispossession. In the case of Israelis, it's a systemic racist ideology that other.
Oh my god. Oh my god, bro, just no nuance at all. I'm sure this is a percentage of the Israeli population that thinks this, bro, but to literally do this as a side-by-side is so fucking funny. It's so funny. Do you not think that there's Islamic extremists that want the destruction of Israel and all of its citizens? Do you think that's just not true at all? Because you can say that it became into power because of Israel's occupation. That is true. But to act as though those sentiments are not for the express purpose of something deliberately heinous, it's just ridiculous.
Called the Total War speech, and it's like a German hall, clapping and shouting and screaming.
There's a whole category of anti-Semitic tropes called Holocaust inversion, which is what Chris has been doing for the last 30 minutes. And I mean, for the last 30 minutes, I've been pretty easily just countering all the points, and that's why I don't understand where it's he's definitely more well-read than me. I'm not going to argue that point at all. But I think on the basis of just on a certain level, when we're talking about humanities or talking about Ethan and Ela Klein, it doesn't take the deepest knowledge into individual individual battles and conflicts and the disillusion of different communities or whatever. That part isn't as necessary when just talking about the overarching themes that we're getting into. But also he's kind of skewing I mean, he's just lying on certain parts. He just lied about the Bibi Netanyahu thing, saying that they only protested against Bibi for protesting against his expansionist goal set, which honestly, that is something to protest against too, which you should be good on them for, right? But then also he was wrong because they literally in August did a protest against to end the Gaza war, is what the headline said. That was what the protest was expressly for, and they got arrested for it. So what are you talking about? On one hand, they acknowledge that Palestinian resentment for Israeli Jews is a natural consequence of their oppression. On the other hand, they deny that the animosity exists at all. No, and that's what I find weird, is it's how can you acknowledge that this was sprouted out of it was sprouted out of the way the IDF has treated the Palestinian people, but then not acknowledge that that is quite literally just because it is something that is expected doesn't mean that it's not something that we should try and work to prevent. You know what I mean? It's offenders a lot of people who commit certain crimes, we won't get into details, but you know what I'm talking about. Certain people who commit certain crimes at times had those crimes committed to them. But that doesn't mean that it's any less wrong. It just adds context to the conversation that we're having. And again, we can have the nuance and we can carry nuance about these different topics, but when you just lack any type of nuance at all and just see it as literally what he said, well, the Palestinians are just, it's because they're fighting back, but the Israelis are a bunch of racist, it's embedded into their culture, these, like, it's just, you lack nuance. Oh, we got a thumbnail up? Yo, this angle is doing him mad justice. Fucking hell. Yeah, the problem is that both sides fear the other as an existential threat. No, exactly. It's like you can acknowledge that so easily, and because it's just true, it's just like blatantly true. And instead, it's like, well, no, you can only acknowledge it on the one side, but then ignore it when we're talking about the actual like future for both like nations. You can argue that Israelis are irrational to have fear about annihilation, but the fact remains that they have deep existential fear. No, exactly. And I think that's like perfectly put, because literally, if... Oh, read their chat? Release the Fupa. Throbbing Williams. Glazed donut ass. Real convenient stain, really. Foaming at the mouth feral. Talk about the allegations. If Israelis can't help it and it's in their DNA, then they should have some empathy for them. Well, and quite literally, right? It's like, what, was there something else in the chat? Oh, on Cum Guzzler? Wait, what is his chat saying? Every Zionist politician believes in being able to murder people from the sky with no trial. Ela is only anti-Bibi since her extremist father died. Prove me wrong. Education hurts some people, generally the same people who burn books. Hey, Anthony.
As I think Goebbels says, we're going to have total war. Your lives are going to get worse. We're going to go into this apocalyptic final stand. It's clear that there are these societal issues, and I think we have to examine where those come from. And in the case of the Palestinians, it's dispossession. In the case of Israelis, it's a systemic racist ideology that otherizes human beings and wants them and blames them for all of your issues without taking a look in the mirror and saying, this is something bigger than just...
Oh, the one about Ela, yeah. No, I mean, they're all just pretty... I mean... Yeah, well, hey, again, it's like these are the sentiments that people have. That is anti-Semitic. Or at the very least, xenophobic, right? Like, I think we just need to start saying that. You're being anti-Semitic. No, I'm not. I have Jewish friends. Okay, then you're being xenophobic to Israelis. What does that mean? like that's genuinely how it feels at this point.
One group of people in us. This is something that is prevalent all over Israel, because once we get to like things like Hila's Instagram reposts, sorry, her Instagram.
Someone said, "Let's make it 110." Oh, fucking hell yeah! Let's make it 110. You sacks of shit, bro. And that's what I'm talking about. He was talking about earlier. Oh, I remove people from my chat that are saying anti-Semitic things. Oh, I hate when people do this type of stuff. This guy fucking YOLO swag in your chat. Let's make it 110. Fucking great people you have on here.
Human beings and wants them and blames them for all of your issues without taking a look in the mirror and saying, this is something bigger than just one group of people in us. This is something that is prevalent all over Israel. Because once we get to like things like Hila's Instagram reposts, sorry, her Instagram likes, you start to see, hang on a second, you're denying that the famine in Gaza is the fault of Israel. You are really focused on the experience of Jewish Israelis, much more so than you are Palestinians who are dying en masse right now, and that's not okay. There is no equivalency. There is no equivalency between the average Israeli person who hangs out in Tel Aviv, who can still move around Europe, in comparison to a Palestinian who...
That's a fucking stupid argument to make. To just go, well, look at the individuals. Look at the individuals. That's stupid. That's dumb. Okay, let's look at Hamas. Let's look at Hamas and where their leaders are living. Let's look at the top-ranking Hamas leader and see how their lives are. That's fucking dumb. That is so just reductive. That is so like you are just actually so like what?
Lived no kind of normal life before, whose entire life was defined by a foreign power.
Oh, we started? Okay.
To a
Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We keep going, we keep going. We're going to see what they have to say about this stuff. I got through as much as I could. I don't even think I got like an hour and 10 minutes in or something. Not even a whole lot. Maybe an hour in. But yeah, it is what it is. Again, like and subscribe if you haven't already. This is Cap.